This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is the Fast Break Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, as always, is Ricky Widmer.
What's up, guys?
And Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
And today is our mock draft 5.0. If you last listened to us, we were talking about the NBA playoffs. Those have already started. We already have an upset. The Nets taking game 1 against the Sixers.
Philadelphia 76ers.
Raptors play the Magic right now. We're also watching the Masters to keep up with that. Tigers right now 2 strokes behind the leader. So we're super excited right now. It's going to be a fun time. And we have our mock draft 5.0. We have another one coming out in 2 weeks, correct? And which one is that?
That's the live lotto.
That's the live lotto one, where we will put all the balls into a bingo machine and draft the order. I know you guys have been asking for that, for us to use Tankathon for some of that. That is something that we will be taking into consideration. Might put that into effect next year for Tankathon. Do that for all the regular mock drafts. Still have a live lotto where we make it a little bit special, where we physically pick the order. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that stuff. But so far, we're going to keep it rolling. These are using the Tankathon orders right now, and with the coin flips. So we don't have to talk about anything besides patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast besides that then, because we don't have to talk about what we're going through, because it's all the mock draft today. So if you want to check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast, check out the tiers that we have now. At the bronze tier, you can join our Discord, you can talk to us, and you could also get the mock drafts a week ahead. You might not get a mock draft of the week ahead for the next mock draft. You might just get a big board. That's probably what we'll do, is give you a big board of what we would do, because we can't give you a mock draft because we don't know the order yet.
Yeah, that was tough.
We'll probably give you a big board for the one on the 27th. If you do become a patron for the bronze tier, the silver tier, you get to pick a topic, and then the gold topic, you get to come onto the podcast and talk to us. And next week, we'll have 5 Patreon topics. So it's going to be crazy.
It'll be nuts.
It'll be insane.
You're going to love my nuts, Dave. You're going to love my nuts.
All right.
It's funnier the second time you hear it the same day.
Let's jump in now to the mock draft 5.0. We'll start 1 through 10, 11 through 20, then it will be the second segment, and the 21 through 30 will be the third segment. And then we also are taking into effect now as well. We'll be talking about the 11 through 20s and 21 through 30s. We might not go through every single pick like we will for the 1 through 10, but we will at least talk about it briefly. So every pick will be talked about, and we'll have some discussion on those. So let's start off 1 through 10. Ricky Widmer, start us off.
Well, starting off at number 1, the easiest pick in the entire draft. Whoever's there right now, it's the Knicks. Zion Williamson. They're going to go with Zion. He's going to the Mecca for obvious reasons because he's number 1 overall. Then the Cavs, they're going to go R.J. Barrett. Suns going Ja Morant because point guard's a huge need for theirs. The Bulls, I'm going to do something interesting, something I have not done yet in a mock. I've either had Cam Reddish or maybe Jarrett Culver, or maybe just Cam Reddish throughout. I'm going Kobe White, though, the guard from UNC at 4. Then at 5, the Hawks go DeAndre Hunter, forward from the Virginia Cavaliers. Wahoo. Then the Wizards go Cam Reddish, forward from Duke at 6. Number 7, Brandon Clark, the forward from Gonzaga, going to the New Orleans Pelicans. Then the Grizzlies, because of the coin flip, go Jarrett Culver, the guard from Texas Tech. Hawks via the Mavs at 9, going Bol, the center from Oregon. And then the T-Wolves at 10, going Darius Garland, the guard from Vandy.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about that Kobe White thing. He did not even make your 1.0. He was not even there. Now he's already a top 5 pick. So a crazy rise for Kobe White.
Yep.
We'll talk about him once we get to the Bulls there. But Dave, take us through 1 through 10.
Number 1, I got Zion Williamson going to the Knicks. 2, R.J. Barrett to the Cavs. 3, Ja Morant to the Suns. This is starting to sound familiar. 4, I've got the Bulls taking Jarrett Culver. At 5, I've got the Hawks going DeAndre Hunter. At 6, the Wizards taking Bol. At 7, the Pelicans taking Kobe White. At 8, the Grizzlies taking Darius Garland. 9, the Hawks going with Jackson Hayes. And at 10, the T-Wolves taking Brandon Clark.
All right, now my 1 through 10, we have Zion Williamson going to the Knicks, the Cavs taking R.J. Barrett, 3, the Suns taking Ja Morant, 4, the Bulls taking DeAndre Hunter, 5, the Hawks taking Jarrett Culver, 6, the Wizards taking Brandon Clark, 7, the Pelicans taking Cam Reddish, 8, the Grizzlies taking Darius Garland, 9, the Hawks via the Mavs taking Jackson Hayes, and number 10, the T-Wolves taking Kobe White, guard from UNC. Let's start off at number 1, the Knicks taking Zion Williamson. I don't really know what question to ask. I think the question would be, how close is it in your mind then? I guess from 1 to 2. Like obviously Zion, you said it's not even a discussion. What's the biggest concern for Zion that you would see? Is it the fit of where he would be drafted to? Would it be something he actually has control over, like his jumper, or would it just be injury concern?
The only thing stopping him in my mind is if he gets injured. Knocking on that wood, actually, I'll knock on wood on our board because we actually have it. That's the only thing stopping him. Like, to me, there's, the whole thing that we've talked about of like, oh, can he work on a shot? Absolutely. But I mean, everything that he has and the athleticism he brings to the table, any team would be silly not to take him at number 1. And there's a reason why we've had him at number 1 the entire year.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot we haven't covered on Zion Williamson, so I just think fit-wise, with the Knicks, it works out for them perfectly. They're kind of they hit the restart button on their franchise by trading KP. So moving forward with Zion, potentially keeping DSJ there and Kevin Knox, like, it's a good young core, and then if they're able to hit in free agency like they hope to, team could be very exciting next year.
Especially if they get Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I mean, even if they get Zion Williamson, it's automatically an upgrade. It's automatically going to make them one of the most intriguing players.
I'll ask that then. Teams. If they just get Zion, say they don't land either the big free agents in typical New York fashion, how many wins does this team end up with? How many wins added is Zion Williamson for this Knicks team?
Well, I think it depends on who they keep, because they still have DeAndre Jordan, who's an expiring free agent, but it sounds like he wants to stay in New York.
Yeah.
I think that they have to be at least good for 25 to 30.
Oh, okay.
Because I think that Dennis Smith Jr. being there for a full year will be huge. You still have Kevin Knox, who's going to have another year of development. Zion Williamson, I think, adds at least 5 wins to a team. If they're actually trying to win, too. I mean, this team was not trying to win. It's
true.
They have Mitchell Robinson, who was an absolute
I forgot Mitchell Robinson. How did I miss
in
Mitchell
the second
Robinson?
half.
Yeah.
Love him.
It's amazing.
They have Dotson, who's a very good three-point shooter. Tiger just set himself up for a birdie again to tie for the lead.
Nice.
I just look at this team, and I think there are very intriguing pieces to this team. And I think, obviously, adding Zion, who we clearly think is the best player in the draft, adding him to this team is just going to make them at least 5 wins better. And that's also not even taking into account that they were purposely trying to lose this year. And I don't think they're going to be trying to lose this year.
I mean, Mario Hezonja tried to stop that. Like, he tried to set them straight at the end of the year.
And Hezonja, if he comes back, too.
I pretty got he doesn't.
Yeah.
That team doesn't deserve him.
If he does come back, he'd be something. I don't know. You like him more than I do. I don't give a shit about Mario Hezonja.
I know. I hope he finds a better home.
I just think Zion would be a player. He's going to win Rookie of the Year no matter what. I think he's at least worth 5 wins. Yeah.
You think that there's nobody who can compete for Rookie of the Year against him?
No.
Not even your guy from last year, who sat the entirety of this year.
Michael Porter Jr. is not going to do it. I think that...
Who?
Michael Porter Jr.
Okay, I heard Michael, and then I heard something else. Like I heard Jordan.
Oh,
I was like Michael Jordan.
Well, I said Ja Morant.
Yeah,
so probably the.
Yeah. I think Zion's going to come in. He's going to put up 18. He's probably going to grab 10 boards. He might even. That's probably underselling him too, because he's going to grab boards.
Okay.
There's no way he's not going to grab boards.
Yeah.
And he's probably going to dish out like a decent amount of assists too. And that's not even talking about his defensive stuff too. I think he's just gonna be a dominant force right away.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to talk about Zion more though.
Well, I like your 25 to 30, but the only thing I think about is I use the Hawks and the Mavs as kind of like an example. They added 2 guards who have been really good, and the Hawks only improved 5 wins this season
by trying to tank for the last month.
And then the Mavericks on their.
The Mavericks tank for
the Mavericks were their like really good tanking, where it's like, hey, they're in this game and they lose.
Well, they traded 4 starters.
Added 9 games.
Yeah, the Mavs could have been a playoff team if they didn't trade away their starters and didn't try to tank to keep their pick.
Yeah,
and then the Hawks didn't have an immediate impact from Trae Young right away. It took him a while to get going.
Whereas we're thinking Zion's going to be an immediate impact.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean,
he's going to be
high percent shots, hopefully under the hoop. Hopefully not taking too many of those threes with that interesting form that he has.
I think the biggest thing for him is just going to be turnovers. Maybe he's going to try to do too much and turn the ball over too much. I think that's going to be the biggest thing for him. Any final thoughts on?
I think that's
I think it's the easiest pick in the draft.
Yep. All right, let's go to 2. Cavs taking RJ Barrett. I'm surprised to see RJ Barrett for across the board for you guys, because you guys think that Ja Morant's the second best player in the draft.
But the Cavs have a point guard.
Okay, but we've talked about this before. The with the Cavs,
My opinion has yet to change.
What?
I said my opinion is yet to change.
Yeah, I know.
They have Colin Sexton.
Yes, but I mean, would you rather go BPA here? I mean, do you think John Morant's the best player in the draft?
Yeah,
that's not Zion Williamson.
If it's a big board, I'm putting Ja at number 2. But if the Cavs are at number 2, I'm either taking RJ, or if I don't like RJ for some reason, if I'm the Cavs, I am trading that pick. Those are the only two options. I go with RJ.
And you have a significant gap between Ja and RJ, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you're the same.
I think the top end, RJ, and I think that gap's close at the top. I think the floor is a whole lot different. I think RJ's got a much deeper floor than Zion does, or than John Morant does. Mm-hmm. So I still think that Colin Sexton, I probably gave up on him a little too early when I watched him start play a little better. He still scares me with his lack of facilitation. Not sure quite what that system is yet, because I think Larry Nance might have led them in assists this year, which is special.
I'll double check that.
But no, I think that
sounds about right though.
It does, right? That's the scary thing, even just saying out loud. I think
here's the best thing is I don't have to check you because no one actually cares. Deli actually did 4.2 assists, but for guys that were there the whole season, it was Larry Nance. 3.2.
Nailed it. Which is terrifying. So Colin Sexton, I think we weren't too far off with it. Like, maybe this guy could work better as a 2-guard.
Yeah.
And that's why I think John Morant's still in the running for that role, but RJ Barrett has a similar top end to him and is a wing in a much more valuable role in the current NBA right now. So I think they go with RJ Barrett. They hope to roll forward with those two key pieces together.
I think that Ja's in the discussion, but I'm probably the one that has the closest gap between Ja and RJ, so that's why I'm going with RJ.
Okay.
But if you're talking about can Colin Sexton and John Morant work together, I think they can. I think that offense would be very exciting. Yeah. And I don't think you should rule out John Morant because you have Colin Sexton. Go with the best player you think it is. And if it's a big gap between John Morant and RJ Barrett in your mind, and you think that John Morant's the better player, go with him, because it's just going to help that offense more. It's going to create that spacing. And Colin Sexton was a machine in the last 24 games, 20 points per game, 3.2 assists, 2.4 rebounds. That's not great, but his splits were great. 20 points is great. The 3.2 assists for a guard isn't great. But 47.7% from the field, 41% for 3, 82.6% from the line. He can be a good 2-guard.
How many threes was he taking in that last
like 5 a game?
Yeah, that's his shot selection completely changed over the season, which was awesome, because he was taking inefficient 2s, like long 2s, mid-range game, and then all of a sudden it's like, so you're gonna only do layups and 3s. You good with that? And it turns out yes.
He's very good at it, and he averaged pretty much 6 actually. He went 2.5 per game made to like 5.8 attempts a game, so massive pretty much jump. 2.5 and 6. So yeah, I just think that Tiger's now tied for the lead.
That's so funny.
I think that Colin Sexton could be a 2-guard, and John Morant next to him, especially with Larry Nance, who could space the floor and also be very athletic and move around. Kevin Love, who's going to be coming back, he can obviously space the floor. Tristan Thompson, a very athletic guard, a very athletic big. And you look at some of the other players that they have on this team that can develop into contributors off ball. I think that would be something that you have to consider if you do think that highly of John Morant. Because Gidi can be a guy who could shoot from the outside. They have Stauskas as well. I don't know if he's under contract or not. Clarkson, a guy that can work off ball. Marquise Chris
Clarkson can't work off ball.
Marquise, no, he can't. Marquise Chris was firing up shots. He was shooting like a decent amount of threes when he came over to the Cavs. He's still young too.
Yeah, he can. There's a chance that they can hope for continued development. A la the Alex Len on the Hawks.
Yeah, I'll just look at that one Brooklyn game where he had 23 points and
feel good about yourself.
Went 3 of 6 from 3. Maybe he can redo that again. He also had 6 fouls and fouled out. But
yeah, it surprised me.
I think that it just depends on who you think the best player is.
Do you think
go with it
on that team that Kevin Love is someone that you should plan around him being there throughout these guys' first 4 years, or do you think that he will be moved before the contract's up?
The only player you should plan on being there is Colin Sexton.
Okay.
And that's not saying that Larry Nance shouldn't be there or will get traded. That's not saying Tristan Thompson will get moved to trade. But the guy that will be there for the next 4 years for sure, under his contract, will be Colin Sexton. Okay. And that's no doubt in my mind. Cool. So I think best player available, go with who you think that is. And I think that's RJ Barrett, at least. I think it's splitting hairs really between him and John Morant. Yeah. I just think that if since you are splitting hairs, you go with the wing.
Sounds good.
But it seems like you guys weren't splitting hairs, so that's why I was shocked to see that RJ went second. But let's go to 3. The Suns taking Ja Morant again. Clear.
All hail the
what else
point
do we
guard
need
in
to say?
Phoenix. Like, Jesus Christ, you guys have dodged this pick for a while.
What do you think? And I know that we have the draft pick odds of the 14% to be in the top
Dead
3.
even. Yep.
What's your personal percentage that Phoenix is going to be outside of the top 3? Because
Pretty
for
high.
me, they have to hit in a top 3 because they either need to get Zion at 1 or Ja Morant at 2 or 3. Like, they need Ja Morant. If they get out of the top 3 and don't get Ja, then Phoenix, it's like, great. Like, they could
go
maybe
for
take Kobe White, but like, what if it's a situation where I just tankathoned it right now and it would, this is a different one. This is where the Heat went up to number 1. But like, what if what if the Suns fall all the way to 6? Which could be the farthest
they
they
could
fall.
get Sunsed. I thought they could go 7. I thought it's 4-spot drop.
Then maybe it's 7. Like 6, 7. That would obviously be the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Same thing you and I did for the Knicks last week. Sean, I want to ask this to you. Mm-hmm. If that's that worst case scenario, what do you do if you're the Suns? If you're 6th or 7th drafting for Phoenix?
I think you have to at least look into possibly trying to move up to get Ja Morant. Because if you're moving down that much, if you're literally falling all the way to 7, that means some weird team jumped you.
Multiple.
So I think that means that the third pick might be movable because that team wasn't expecting to be in the third position. It's kind of like the Kings last year. I think the Kings were trying to shop that. That's why you heard the rumors of Michael Porter Jr. Just seeing like what people thought about Michael Porter Jr. and then also seeing if they want to trade it. So I think you have to definitely explore trading up to get Ja Morant. But if you don't get Ja Morant, I think that you have to pray that Kobe White's still there. And then if not, if Kobe White's not there and obviously Ja Morant's not there and you're not able to move up, I think moving back a couple would also kind of make sense because I think Darius Garland would not be a good fit for that team. I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker might be.
Yes.
Some length, some moving of the ball. I think Garland and Booker play too similar, so I would not like that fit next to each other. So, that being said, I think that there's a couple options that they would have to do. They'd be probably pissed for sure.
They'd get
get screwed over.
Because
that's not even Suns. That's just complete screw job.
Because
we don't know what to
that's
expect this
Bret
year.
Hart.
We don't know what to expect
levels.
this year, though. Like, that's the crazy thing about it.
No, for sure. And then we'll obviously see that when we do our live
wait.
thing.
Because I just did it right now on Tanline. It's Pelicans, Mavs, Cavs are your top 3. Bulls at 4, Knicks at 5, Suns at 6. So that's a situation of what could happen if they end up at 6. And this has them going DeAndre Hunter.
Read off that thing again.
So Pelicans at 1.
Okay.
They've got Zion.
Yeah.
Mavs at 2. Tankathon says RJ Barrett.
RJ. Agree.
Cavs at 3. They say Jarrett Culver. Then Bulls at 4. Ja Morant. Knicks at 5. Cam Reddish. And then Suns at 6. DeAndre Hunter.
It's questionable.
The Mavs go Culver is what you said?
Mavs go RJ. Cavs go Culver.
Cavs go Culver.
Yeah, not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think the Suns would have to try to trade up though, because if the Mavs are there, that would be a team that I could think moves back. Because the reason why you wanted that pick for the Mavs was because you're not going to have a pick next year. Well, if you're going to give them a pick next year, I think that might
do that.
swallow it, and then you're also moving back. So I think if the Mavs are able to put themselves in a position where they literally just traded Luka Doncic for Trae Young in some way, where they're able to get a first round pick next year, and not lose a
And
first
it'd
round
be the
pick.
Cavs' first round pick, so you're going to get back a pretty good lottery chance.
Suns.
I'm sorry, the Suns, yeah. So pretty good lottery chance.
They wouldn't
Top
be able to
5
trade
protected?
it because they have the
that's right.
2021 they gave up. But still, if you're able to get a first round pick, I
It
think
sort of
that's
softens that blow.
yeah. So that's what I think the Suns would have to do. But if there are 3, Ja Morant's available, they're taking Ja Morant. Bulls, this is where it gets interesting. I have DeAndre Hunter, you have Kobe White, and Dave, you have Jarrett Culver. You obviously, Culver's been a very consistent pick here for some of us.
Yep.
We've kind of changed it up a bit. Tell us briefly about Culver. Why is he a good fit with the Bulls?
If you watched his last 2 games, you probably saw some of the worst play of Jarrett Culver all year.
And that was my biggest concern. My biggest concern for Jarrett Culver was him being in a spotlight as a scorer. And you saw what happened, and he was
he felt
really
the pressure.
bad.
He got doubled like crazy. Like, he got smothered. and
Nothing
that
was worse than
horrible.
the shot where they're down 4, like 36 seconds left. He comes up on the right side and just fires up a 3. That is not Jarrett Culver.
I will say this, though, and this is giving the benefit of doubt for Jarrett Culver. In the Final 4, he played a very well-coached team and a very veteran-savvy team in Michigan State. And then in the championship played one of the best defensive teams year in and year out in Virginia. So, I mean, it wasn't like he was playing random Joe Schmo this time.
Okay, but he's going up against players that either are extremely great college players or pros, like let's say DeAndre Hunter, and that's concerning.
I'm just saying.
Especially guys like Tony Bennett, who's rumored for NBA jobs every now and then, and Tom Izzo, who's built up one of the best blue bloods in college basketball. It is concerning that when you're looked to be a number one scorer, that you do not perform. Because that's not what he is, and that was my biggest concern for him.
Yes. That's the whole point, is he was put into a role that I don't think he is actually, I don't think he is a number one scorer. I think he is a complimentary guy. He is an off-ball handler. He's going to be that second guy on your team to help you win games. I don't expect him to take the load night in, night out, which is what they're asking him to do, because they really didn't have many options at Texas Tech.
And with the Bulls, he wouldn't have to be, because Zach's our number one.
Exactly.
Then it goes, what, Lowry and then Otto?
Yeah.
And then maybe, Jared would maybe be mixed in with Otto because he'd be in the second unit.
Yeah, we'd have to see how that one would play out.
But he's not the number one for sure, because Zach's our number one.
Yep. So I think that if you overvalue those last couple of games, I can see why a guy like DeAndre Hunter, you would want him, because he absolutely played up in that championship game. Incredibly efficient, good usage, and defensively he was everywhere you want him to be. So I think it's a very close thing, but I like the ability for Jarrett Culver to be a secondary ball handler. I just think there's extra value there. So
All right, but let's talk about Kobe White, because I think it's a very intriguing.
Yeah.
I think it's a bold pick.
I mean,
I liked it.
What got me thinking about it was actually Dave and I last week when we did the segment on is Kobe White a top 10 pick.
Yep.
We talked about maybe the Bulls. And maybe like we were talking if like the Bulls move back and we fall in the draft and like kind of worst case scenarios for the Bulls. And then I saw some of the commenters were like, well, like Kobe White top 10 pick. No, he could be a top 5 pick. And at first I was like, no, you're crazy. Like he's not going to be a top 5. And then I started thinking about it, and the Bulls at 4. And one of our biggest needs is point guard. Duh.
Yep.
One of the biggest reasons why is Chris Dunn is up at the end of the year, and we're going to have to make a decision of what we're going to do. Are we going to bring him back for a reasonable price? Is someone as an RFA going to throw him a contract that we can't match or that we have to match? And
we don't want
do
to
we
match?
want to overpay him? Like, do we just let him walk? There's so many situations you can do with Chris Dunn to where I feel like that is a huge need. And although Kobe White might be a little bit of a reach for some people here, I feel like for the Bulls, he could be a sleeper pick because he can shoot from beyond the arc. He shoots a good percentage from the field. The only thing is he doesn't go to the line a lot, but we don't need him to drive because we got Zach, who's the main driver of this team. Like, look at how Otto Porter came in. I know he's not a point guard, but how he came in, not as a driver, as a shooter, and really helped us out.
Yeah.
And although he's not racking up as many assists as Ja, he can still get the ball to people. And I think he could be a better point guard for us than Chris Dunn is. And then if we need to have Dunn in, we can maybe switch White to the 2 guard in some situations and some rotations.
I disagree about the 2 guard thing with Chris Dunn. I think Chris Dunn's being underrated. The biggest thing that Chris Dunn doesn't have for him is just health.
Or shooting.
I think ideally though, he is probably like he's not the best, but like that would be a point guard that you would want for this Bulls team. You want a defensive guy who can move the ball around, and Chris Dunn can do that. The biggest thing that I would worry about with Kobe White is will he be enough of a facilitator to really help this offense? Because that's what I think you need on this team, is to be a facilitator. I think I like him a little bit more for the Bulls than, let's say, a Darius Garland. But I like Darius Garland more as a player. I think Darius Garland is a more impactful offensive player than Kobe White. And the biggest concerns that I do have for Kobe White is he was playing on a team in UNC that was so senior heavy and was so well coached. And if he's not put in those same positions to flourish, where you're using his best skills to help the team, and he's just kind of left to do it on his own or play off of guys like Zach LaVine and Otto Porter Jr. and Lauri Markkanen, if he is not in a position to succeed and flourish and he's trying to find his way, will he be able to do that? because then I think he might just go into that idea of I need to score. And I think that's what he kind of felt like late on in UNC's season when we're talking more near the the conference tournament against Duke and the games against Iona and Washington and Auburn. I felt like he felt like he was in a position to score a lot because he was 4-14, 4-14, 6 of 11, 4-15. If his shot's not falling, can he be a facilitator for his teams? And in those 4 games, he averaged 3.5 assists, which is not what that team needed. That team needed ball movement. That team needed to open up Cam Johnson outside. They needed to open up Luke May down low, and they were not able to do that, and that's why they lost to Auburn. And I think that's...
To be fair, Luke May was getting massacred down low. Mm-hmm. Like that was a bad matchup for that team, and I agree. Like he didn't help them by leaning into it, but like they had opportunities.
Even outside of that, I think they just just in general, the Washington game, the Iona game, the Duke game, the ball wasn't being moved a ton, and that is on Kobe White. And even if that's not his game, he needs to be able to do he needs to be able to do that in the NBA, especially if he's going to the Bulls, because that's what the Bulls need is a guy who's going to move the ball around.
Well, and I mean, I also throw out there too, as you're saying what you're saying, Sean, I was kind of thinking of like the Bulls right now starting lineup. If we came back with the same starting 5 next year, Rolo being the big question mark, because he said like, hey, I'd love to come back and play with these guys. Wendell coming off of injury will be interesting too. But if we came back with like Chris Dunn, Zach, Otto, and Markkanen, I'm not upset with that. And if we have Kobe White, maybe what we can do and help him kind of develop as a player too is, all right, your main role to start the season is you are our number 2 point guard behind Chris Dunn, and then we just see what happens.
Disrespect to Archie Diacono.
I mean, Archie's good. I would say keep Archie. But I mean, with me, Kobe would be. I love Archie. He's the guy. He's gonna scrap. He's gonna put his body on the line.
The favorite comment that I've heard about Archie Diacono is that he's the white Kirk Heinrich.
I love Kurt Heinrich.
I love reading that.
The white Kirk Heinrich.
I love Kurt Heinrich.
Yeah. No, Ryan Archidiacono is
Chicago
a permanent
hero.
bench guard, and he would instantly be passed up by Kobe White. I think that
the question is disrespect to Walt Lemon Jr., Dave.
You mean Derrick Rose Jr.?
And if we get Kobe White, or we bring him back D Rose?
Oh God,
because those rumors.
There's so many questions that just instantly round.
But no,
hold on. Do you actually want D Rose back?
If we do not draft a point guard, I would not be upset with bringing him back for a year.
Do you want him back?
I mean, I'm not actively saying, hey, let's bring back D Rose, but like if we brought him back, I wouldn't be mad.
Bone chips in his elbow.
You want him back?
I'd be mad.
I would take him back. I would take him back. I'm a blind fan of the Bulls. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Dave, he's got bone chips in his elbow.
What I want to say about
Please
this
come back, D Rose.
I would rather take any other point guard.
He could be our
in the
Lou
draft.
Will.
No, he cannot. He will take away shots from whoever.
Who on our bench do you want taking a shot? Name a Jakar Sampson? Shaq Harrison?
You're better.
Archie Diacono?
Because those guys are going to be actually on the team next year. You can still go out and sign
Cristiano.
guys. Okay, Felicio will be on the team.
Yeah, because that dumb contract.
He can be 15 man. I mean,
but no, we literally don't have bench scoring. Mm-hmm. So we've been relying on Shaq Harrelson to do that. Wayne Selden.
But that's the team this year. You can still sign and add players to that bench. And the thing that I look at with D Rose is he's not going to want a 1-year deal.
Yep.
He's going to want a long-term deal.
I mean, we'll give him.
And I think this whole documentary thing is a big thing from his agents to warm up Chicago and the front office to the idea of bringing him back.
I'd give him 2 and 16 probably.
That's a lot.
$8 million a year for D Rose.
I mean, he's
super worth.
Here's the thing that I will say: 18 points per game. He put up very similar numbers to what he did with the Knicks.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was inflated by the first 25 games he played.
Yeah.
Because
his 3-point percentage went.
The last 25 games, he shot 22% from three.
He had bone spurs in his elbow.
And he's still going to have
shot's
those.
going to go bad. He's getting rid of them. It needs time.
Another surgery.
Needs time.
I would be, if you're a Bulls fan, highly consider what D Rose is. It's not just D Rose the player and the fact that number 1 will be back on on the back of his jersey.
At the same time, we're not competing for the playoffs next year.
Okay, but you still need to build up your youth.
Good
you're
point,
taking
Dave.
away shots from Kobe White. You're taking away shots from Lauri Markkanen. You're taking away shots from Wendell Carter Jr. You're taking away shots from Otto Porter. You're taking away shots from much more important
bench point guard. I think he would be a Lou Williams role, and I don't think there's a lot of harm in that because our
the
team,
second
unless
Kobe White starts to play worse, you're gonna get chance from the United Center that D Rose should be starting.
I don't even think we'd wait that long. But the point being,
and then
they
immediately
should clearly
you're
add
hurting your
Hazzonian free agency.
You're hurting your team.
Bench scoring. He's our new point guard.
I think Kobe White's an interesting pick. I think it's just a little bit too much of a reach.
Here's the thing. I don't think I think it could be seen as a reach, but if you get the guy that works out for the system, like I foresee Chris Dunn going into a Marcus Smart role on this team in the future. Like, I don't know that any team's going to offer him a lot of money to go elsewhere unless the Suns get sunsed, and then they could try to make a move for a player like him.
Just so I heard you say Chris Dunn?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Who else would I be talking about?
I don't know. We were mentioning Kobe. We were mentioning D Rose.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure I heard you
I'm
right.
trying to reset. I'm saying
Okay.
Chris Dunn, more of a secondary role player like Marcus Smart would be to this team, where he can come in, add that toughness, still be able to drive and kick. But I think Kobe White, I see him working in Chicago.
Because, and take the D Rose thing aside, let's say we draft Kobe White. The thing, that you were saying, Sean, that I could maybe see working is, like I said, okay, you're going to be the 2 guard behind Chris Dunn, and he can work on his skills with the second unit, and then we don't have any problems to start the season with him with him causing problems. It doesn't hurt Chris Dunn in his development, but if it goes down the season and we see, hey, Kobe White is kind of developing and he's better than Chris Dunn, then we can make the flip, or we can keep him with the second unit the whole year.
Yeah, I'm just with the D Rose thing. I'm just saying,
Got him derailed with D Rose.
go young.
Chris Dunn's 25.
Yeah, and he's not bad. He's just not healthy.
I'm just saying it.
And
He was
I think
22 when he came out, though?
yeah, he was a senior.
Yeah.
I think he just hasn't been healthy, and I think he could still be a fine bench player. I went away from that because I don't think there's a point guard worth taking it for. I went DeAndre Hunter because I know you guys have wing help already with Otto Porter, and they might be a similar player. Both guys that can shoot from the outside, both guys that can drive. But DeAndre Hunter does seem like a very good glue guy. He's clearly a great defender. And I think that the biggest thing that he could provide to this Bulls team is just a consistent player that can come off the bench. And you don't have to worry about Shaq Harrison. You don't have to worry about Jakar Sampson. You don't have to worry about Ryan Arcidiacono.
We do technically still have Denzel Valentine and Hutch. So,
DeAndre Hunter's better than both of them. It's not even close.
Is he?
Question.
Yes.
Question
Denzel Valentine is horrible.
Is he?
Yes. Have you been talking to John Paxson?
I'm just messing with you.
Here's the question I want to ask for you, since you brought up DeAndre Hunter. That when I watched that last game, I sat back and I said 2 things. Great. DeAndre Hunter is going to shoot up draft boards just because of this game. That's number 1. Number 2, Kyle Guy is going to be seen as, now I know DiVincenzo had a great combine, which added to it. But people are going to look at Kyle Guy as we can take him in the second round because he's going to have that same DiVincenzo type
He's a
of
second rounder.
that
DiVincenzo was a top
type
20
of
pick.
No, I know, but the combine helped DiVincenzo even more. DiVincenzo coming into that championship game was not
Say
where
his
he
name
finished.
correctly, Ricky.
White Dante. But the question I want to ask you, Sean, is do you think as we get close to the draft, is DeAndre Hunter going to shoot up draft boards mainly because of how he played in the final game and the final 2 games, especially that final game with that shot he was making?
4.55. How much higher do you think he can go?
Yeah, that's the thing is, I think the highest we've had him is 7. So that's just a couple jumps for him. And the biggest reason he jumped for me is because people fell. The highest we've had him was 5. 1.0, Dave had him at 5, going to the Knicks. So this is a 1-spot jump from that. And it's not really his performance, because I love his performance. I thought he was fantastic in that game. 4 of 5 from 3, 8 of 16 from the field. Played well defensively. I loved the play that he made. I don't like the replay, but when that shot was long. He didn't chase after the ball. He tried to poke it out loose and stop transition, because his team didn't need the ball possession right there. They just needed to force Texas Tech to take a worse shot than a transitional layup or foul. They did foul him. It wasn't Hunter's fault, but Hunter made a great play just popping that ball loose. I think he's a very smart player. I think the Bulls need that. The Bulls don't really need a starter outside of point guard. I think their starting 5 is pretty set. Levine, Porter, Markkanen, and Wendell Carter. I think that's a very, very good starting 5, probably the best starting 5 out of anyone picking the top 5.
I'd agree.
I think the biggest thing they need is obviously point guard, and I think Hunter, he can just provide you more versatility. He could provide you a very good leader. He could provide you a very good glue guy. And I think he might not be, again, an eye-popping player, but he has rose to occasion in big games, and he's very consistent. He's not a guy that's just going to end his night, kind of like Zion. Zion is always consistent. He's always out there putting up consistent, numbers. He's always putting out consistent effort. And Hunter is the same way. Hunter's always going to give you consistent effort and consistent minutes. And I think he's kind of similar to Wendell Carter Jr. in the way as well. Wendell Carter had a very low floor, and I think Hunter has high floor. And I think Hunter also has a very high floor.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why I like Hunter there. It's just because wings are always necessary in the NBA, and adding a guy in Hunter who is so consistent would be a very smart move.
Should I have phrased it this way? Is he a lock top 5 pick now because of what we saw?
No, I still think it's situational depending on, the team's rising and falling.
Because this is the first time we've had him in the top 5 recently. The 3.0, we all had him at 7, and then we had him all out of the top 5 in the 4.0 too.
Yeah. No, I think it depends a lot on the teams there. It's just, fit is one. I think fit goes into it a lot. As much as you want to say take the best player available, his fit.
And you
on
are
this
a
team
fit
could
be
work well.
damned guy.
You guys over exaggerate shit sometimes, but we'll talk about that a little bit more later. Maybe on the Wizards.
I thought you were keeping going. What were you going to say about fit though?
I was just saying, I think that it's entirely up to fit for DeAndre Hunter. Like, if you're a team who needs a wing who can shoot threes and play defense, which is nearly every team, unless you value, potential special players like, Jarrett Culver's ability to be a secondary ball handler, someone like maybe a Bull being, that next unicorn up. There are a couple of those guys who could, leapfrog him, but outside of that, like, he is consistency. I
think the biggest thing we didn't do, too, is compare Hunter and Culver because they're very similar. Both sophomores, both guys who are near 6'8". I know Culver is listed as 6'5", but that guy's bigger than 6'5".
Yep.
And they're both going to be 2 threes. And I think that if we're comparing those two, Hunter is a better player than Culver. And that's why I went with
Do you think Hunter can guard 2s? I don't know about him being a 2 anymore. I think he's more of a 3-4 in my mind.
I could see him guarding 2s.
All right.
He might be too slow.
Yeah,
but
I worry about the foot speed. That's all.
Yeah, but I think he's still long enough where, even if a guy gets by him, he could still contest shots.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest strength. He's not going to be able to guard like a Kobe White or anything like that. But if he's going up against a guy like Romeo Langford or if he's going up against Culver, we obviously saw that.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the size of the two.
Okay.
So I think he could be very flexible. If we're throwing out a lineup of Levine, let's say Levine plays the 1, Hunter at the 2, Porter at the 3 or whatever like that, I'd rather have Hunter guarding 2s than Otto Porter.
Fair enough.
So that's my feelings. Any other thing about the Bulls?
No, I think we've given the people the Bulls love.
Let's move to the Hawks. Culver for me, Hunter for Ricky, Hunter for Dave. Still same line thinking. We just said we compare these guys. Yep. Both 2 threes, both guys that can shoot from the outside in different situations. Culver needs to be more of a spot-up shooter than an actual pull-up shooter. But Culver does bring secondary ball handling. I like him there. Cam Reddish should probably be in consideration for the Hawks here because they do need a 2-3. But the biggest thing that sticks out for me for Culver over Reddish is I can look at him and I could say that's something I'm taking, at least from a basketball perspective. I don't know what Reddish is bringing outside of his body and outside of his potential. He's going to bring athleticism. He's going to bring that body. He's going to bring potential.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I don't know what basketball skills he is bringing fully to the court that he's shown consistently through the past year at Duke. He's obviously shown a lot in high school, and that's something that needs to be taken into consideration. But when we're looking strictly at college performance, he did not perform to the level that he should have, and he should not be in the top 5. And Culver, yes, he had 2 bad games. That's probably going to leave a bad taste in people's mouth. But he is a guy that can be a secondary ball handler, and you don't really need that with Trae Young. But I think with his ability to shoot from the outside and his defensive ability to help Trae Young is the biggest reason why I'd pick him. And also Trae Young running off screens and having Culver lead, I don't think would be horrible. Because Trae Young can be so quick. And if you use him in like a Isaiah Thomas role, that'd be fun to watch. I'd rather have Trae Young use the ball with the ball in his hands because he's such a great passer and has great vision.
Yeah.
But I think Culver brings exactly the kind of guard I would want next to Trae Young, and I think it's a perfect fit there for the Hawks.
Yeah, I think that Jarrett would be a good fit, but he's just off the board for me. I think Ricky and I both saw. DeAndre Hunter is the like, hey, we want to be the Warriors. Let's go get somebody who can shoot threes yet again, because they already did that with Kevin Huerter. So just going to tag in another wing who can shoot threes. This one plays a little bit better defense. I just think that who made a shot where?
No, Tiger just could have. Molinari went up one stroke. Tiger's still at 11 under. He just like barely missed a birdie putt. It didn't break enough. Sorry.
It's all right.
He's done for the day. He's at negative 11.
All right. But yeah, no, I just think it's a perfect fit for this Hawks team. It gives them yet another guy on the wing who can help them out going forward. And you're one step closer to competing. They were a super fun team to end the year.
Yeah, for this one, it was fit because I am the only one out of all of us that had both Hunter and Culver on the board because White going 4. And for me, it's kind of like what Dave said. First off, the 3-point ability that Hunter did show, especially late in that championship game, could be appealing to the Hawks. And number 2, I look at both the guard and small forward position. So if we look at the shooting guard, Bazemore and Huerter. Herter's going to be your starter moving forward. Bazemore is that guy after 2019 is even on this team anymore. Whereas with small forward, you've got Taurean Prince, who in 2 years is an RFA. I'm pretty sure he's going to be re-signed and is the future at small forward. DeAndre Bembry could be walking. Could just be walking after 2 years.
I think they like him. I think he's a guy who has like a good toolkit.
They like
He's
him.
like Chris Dunn. Like I don't think anyone's gonna be knocking on the DeAndre Bembry door.
If I can draft DeAndre Hunter, and then DeAndre Hunter could take Bembry's spot as the number 2 small forward behind Taurean Prince, or in 2 years, it then creates hey, who out of these guys, maybe DeAndre Hunter plays up, and by that going into the 3rd year, we're talking about him being, he is now the starting 3 for the Hawks. So
this is a team that's probably not competing, so bench guys are getting minutes.
And then you could probably have a starting 3 of a future starting 3 of Trae Young at 1, Huerter at 2, Hunter at 3. The defense at 2 and 3 is like, oh my God, give me that.
Yeah.
And that's why I picked Hunter over Culver.
No, I think they're setting themselves up with a really good young core, and I always want more Wangs. Like that's just the default
so
answer.
Many wings.
Like if there was and I know we all mocked like Jackson Hayes as the highest center in this draft, but like he's not worth it at 5.
Yeah,
it's just that would be a reach, and everyone reminds there's just talent between. So
well, and right now they also have a 2nd pick.
That's the other part. So I think that you go for a wing here, you add that depth, and you can kind of fill in those guys. I'm not ready to give up on anybody in that young group yet.
Yeah, you are not in the situation of having Culver and Hunter on the board at the same time. Who would you go with for the Hawks though? If you did.
If I had the choice, I would probably lean Jarrett Culver.
Okay, I would lead Hunter, but Hunter's off my board. I do like his defense better, and I think he'd be much better next to Trae Young.
Yeah.
Just because I think he is a better 3-point shooter. I think that's the biggest thing that I would want for that.
Yeah.
It's literally just spacing and 3-and-D monster.
My only concern, and I think you covered this a little, was like Trae Young sometimes gets doubled and overwhelmed, and no one else in that starting lineup could walk with the ball. Like no one else can dribble the ball and move forward. It's literally that hard to ask for. So I see Jarrett Culver as someone who can take some pressure off of him, so the teams can't just smother the ball out.
Well, you know who would be a good fit for them? D Rose.
Great fit.
I'm kidding.
Impeccable.
Let's move now to the Wizards at 6. I have Brandon Clark, Ricky, you have Cam Reddish, and Dave, you have Bol Bol. A lot of weird picks here because Bol Bol, again, we know my fit on him.
He's amazing.
I'm not too high on him. Brandon Clark, for me, that's probably way too much of a reach.
Yeah, you're Brandon Swanson up in here.
Yeah, and then Cam Reddish is a little bit of an enigma. So let's start with Cam Reddish. Clearly, he's been a guy that's been consistently in our top 5. Now outside of the top 5, what was the biggest reason he fell for you?
So the biggest reason he fell for me is, first off, the Bulls deciding to take Kobe White over a 3, and then just the Hawks going with DeAndre Hunter over because Cam Reddish, to me, I feel for the Cam Reddish supporters that are in our comment section when they say he could be the biggest sleeper. As Dave pulls up what I was looking at, the Magic on top of the Raptors right now, 57-49. Love it.
At halftime.
But with Reddish, the comment section, what I do feel is like when we get the comments that are like, oh, Cam Reddish could be the biggest sleeper in the draft, I kind of want to agree with them. I kind of want to say like, hey, Cam Reddish is going to be the guy we all rag on coming into this year.
Yeah.
And then in like 2 or 3 years, we're like, hey, remember how much
He's
we
the Jaylen
hated
Brown of
Cam
this
Reddish?
draft.
Exactly.
I have the same feeling.
Like,
I'm terrified of this
Remember when we bashed Jaylen Brown and
No.
said he was like
We
garbage
said-
almost?
No, we said he was years away from being a viable NBA
But he
player.
wasn't
because
Bruno. He
has
wasn't
the
2 years
body.
away from being 2 years away.
Correct. He had NBA body. He had NBA athleticism, but we did not see the skill
Yes.
set there yet. And obviously the Boston Celtics knew they had something and built him up, and he is quite a good player.
And the reason why I had this for the Wizards is there's already news that John Wall isn't sure he's going to play next year.
Correct.
So that's another year without John
Just
Wall.
take a point guard.
And it's like, like I thought about it. If Kobe White was there, I would have thought about it.
I honestly did.
But I mean, with Reddish, because next year without John Wall might be a wash also, and you might be trying to tank for a higher draft pick, like it could just be a year of like, hey, you're going to play with Bradley Beal, and this is just going to be a development year for you to kind of get ready and see what you can do. And then John Wall's first year back, we see how this team is. He starts to progress more. Maybe by that his third year, Wall's second year back from injury, Beal, I want to say that would be his contract year. That could be like the prime season for the Wizards because Beal might play out its contract year. Wall will be hopefully healthy off of a
Beal should already
injury.
have a supermax at that point,
Okay.
ideally.
If the Wizards are smart. I mean, they did.
Or if they're dumb.
They're going to have.
I've yet to see a supermax worked out.
They're going to have some front office change, which Dave might be excited about.
Gone.
But yeah, that's why I went Reddish for the Wizards right here at, what would this be, 6?
Yeah. I think, again, I'm not bashing the pick in any way. I think that Reddish is such an intriguing prospect because he has everything you want in a prospect.
You either love him or
except
you hate him.
Production. Except playing
We've never seen
basketball
a top
well.
pick play this poor, shoot these poor percentages, but yet you watch him like playing defense. He's engaged. He's aggressive. Like him coming back in the tournament helped.
Yeah.
Like you watch that one game difference. It was like, wow, yeah, he is on it.
But even then, there's points where like he's on it, but then even then like he could be on it and he's just not even like locking guys up. Like that was some of the previous things that I saw before the tournament.
Yeah, the tournament really for me was a turning point.
Was that he definitely showed a lot of defensive potential there. But the defensive potential kind of always was there for him. It was just
6'9".
Yeah, he just never kind of consistently had it.
Yep.
And the biggest thing that I just worry about with him is like maybe he just doesn't like his confidence might be struck too much. And it's
true.
I'd believe it.
If he goes to a place like Washington, will he have the ball in his hands enough? And that's a problem I think we had at Duke was that he didn't have the ball enough.
Year one,
weirdly
he will,
enough.
though, because John Wall won't be playing.
But I mean, like you're putting him out there with Troy Brown Jr., who's this past year's draft pick, who only got playing time at the very end of the season, had like 2 good performances. The rest were like bleh. But I don't know. I think that team has a bad head coach, so the whole growing talent right now concerns me. Like you got to remember, John Wall and Bradley Beal came in under a different regime, grew their talents, and there was a coach swap. And I think that I have concerns about how well they can continue to develop players. So Troy Brown basically sitting, a majority of the year without getting legitimate minutes concerns me for a team that had no real chance of making the playoffs once John Wall got sat down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with that. And this whole organization has been a mess recently.
Yeah.
And I made my feelings known about Scotty Brooks. He should not be a coach in the NBA. Grunfeld getting fired is huge.
It's a first step.
But a big thing that is concerning me is that Scotty Brooks hasn't been fired yet. And we've been in that firing season with Yeager and Luke Walton and J.B. Bickerstaff. and
Yeager go over to Washington now?
He could.
I mean,
That'd
he's
be
an asshole,
interesting.
so
Yeah.
work out.
And I'm surprised. Like there was actually confirmed reports that have come out and said he's kind of hard to deal with.
Yeah.
And it's not too shocking. But I think the thing with Cam Reddish is I think he needs to be a place where he needs to grow a little bit more, and that's why I like him at the Pelicans because he'll be with Drew Holiday, who moves the ball around. Anthony Davis will be gone, and he'll be getting a lot of shots. But I think Cam Reddish, at least for the Wizards, in theory, get a guy with potential. He has the most potential. I think it's a smart pick.
Does he have the most potential? Because I think a Bull has the most potential.
Get into it.
I'm just saying, the man's 7 feet plus with a damn near record-setting wingspan, and he is one of the best shooters we've seen, bar none, let alone the fact he's 7 feet and can fucking sling it from the outside. He's a goddamn trebuchet. I love his stroke from the outside, and I get it. People are like, look how terrible he is at defense. And I think that's overblown. I think it's an overblown story because you look at the Ducks and their performance when he was there and the performance after he was gone, and you see the difference because they were playing basically a version of a zone defense at a lot of the times, and a lot of the highlights of people kind of blowing past him. And I have to give credit to Reddit. I can't remember the guy's name, but they were like kind of dissecting a lot of the plays. And it's like, yeah, he covers him through his zone. And then there was clearly someone supposed to, this guy, pick him up and didn't make the transition, didn't make the switch. Like, yes, he's not elite on his feet. He doesn't have elite footwork, but he is something absolutely special. And I don't know that I could pass him up over Cam Reddish, where we've seen a lot of very good wings. How many guys have we seen at 7'2" who can shoot at 50-something% from three from the outside in college? That'd be zero.
He was 12 of 26.
Zero.
It's like saying, looking at D Rose's first 25 games and saying, oh, D Rose is a great three-point shooter.
He was before he hurt his elbow.
He showed for 25 games. It is a 10-plus year
before he got hurt.
That he was a good three-point shooter.
Yes.
I'm just saying it was a very small sample size for Bol Bol. I'm not going to say this.
I don't disagree. I think he's closer to a above league average. I think he's in that 36 to 41 range. I think he's seriously close to an elite three-point shooter.
Will he play 36 to 41 games?
Yes.
In his career.
He will absolutely. Sean, we're betting your hair, right? That was the deal?
What?
We're betting your hair on Bol Bol's games?
We did?
Yeah. Check out that video.
What was my bet? Oh, fuck.
I know. You have the Knicks bet, too.
Oh,
we got the Knicks bet, too.
You're buying the... we actually have a commenter.
Eddie Curry jersey.
But there was a commenter that gave a worse player than Eddie Curry.
Who was that?
I'd have to look it up.
Andrea Bargnani?
No, not Bargnani. I know we got a comment on it.
Bargnani?
You said that wrong.
But yeah, I know we got that comment, too.
But what was my bet with the Bol Bol thing?
I think you're going
to shave your head because we wanted you to get to shave your eyebrows, too. And you wouldn't.
Yeah. But if I said he would never play over 70 games in it,
I forget what the count was.
We'd have to go back and check.
Okay.
We'll do that.
Because you think he's going to get injured.
Yeah, I think the kid's going to play. I think he's special. I think the minutes will have to be under a close watch. But at the same time, he's going to be special. And that upside is so high that I don't think I could pass up on him for someone like Cam Reddish.
Special again, Dave.
Special.
The ceiling's high, the floor is very low. And that's the thing that concerns me.
You take a stab in the dark, you're the fucking wizard.
Well, that's why I think you take a stab in the dark of Brandon Clark.
No, that's not a stab in the dark.
Yes,
that's a known player who is old but has established himself.
I think the big thing about him is it too high? And I think that people are thinking that he has a very limited ceiling and a very kind of high floor. And I look at Brandon Clark and I think that he might be able to be a little bit more than that. Because yes, his size does concern me. He's like 6'9". Might be 6'10" or around there. We don't have the official measurements yet, but he's around 6'8" to 6'9", to 6'10". And I think that he might be seen as just a 4 that cannot shoot, which is fair. He does not have a very great 3-point record. 4 or 15 this year is nothing like Bol Bol.
Yeah.
Shooting 26%. But he's a decent free throw percentage, free throw shooter. 109 to 57 157 this year at 69.4%. It's not bad for a 4. And if he's able to get that up to 75%, I would really wonder about his 3-point shooting because his form's not off. He's got a decent form for a shot. So if he's able to put a lot of work into that, I think that he might be able to become a stretch 4. And even if he doesn't, defensively and just offensively, he is shown to be a possible monster. And you look at his disruptiveness when it comes to blocking shots, it is unmatched in this draft. And I think the biggest thing for him is that he doesn't have those concerns about his movement and it's about his athleticism. And that's the biggest thing that I really love about Brandon Clark.
And he's got a sweet spin move to the basket, too, coming off from the top of the key. So that's kind of fun.
And I think he's going to be a great runner to the rim, too.
Yeah.
And I think pairing that next to John Wall and and Bradley Beal would be a very nice pairing. And yes, they have Thomas Bryant, who's played very well at the 5 position. He's already undersized as well, but I don't think the size is too important in the NBA now. Obviously, if you're like 7'3" and can shoot the 3, that's huge. But
boom.
We have seen a smaller NBA coming in and a lot of mixed and blends of 4s and 5s and 3s and wings.
And he's got good enough speed, especially to keep up in transition.
And he's got a very good vertical.
Yep.
That can make up for his size, so he could have explosiveness to make up for that discrepancy height wise. So I think Brandon Clark would be a very nice fit there to be a shot blocking 4.
I like him. I just don't know how much more upside there is left to him that we haven't seen. Like you said, the shot, can it get better? Potentially. But to what extent? He's never really going to truly stretch out to the 3-point line, except if he's like Brook Lopez-esque, and it's just like when you're like, I'm going to just practice 3s all summer and come in and just chuck up a shit ton.
We saw it with Blake, too. I mean, Blake was later on in his career, Blake was known as dunker, went to Detroit and now shoots 3s.
He's not Blake, but I see like a very
there.
flat Diet Pepsi version of Blake.
Okay.
I think that he's very athletic, he's very fluid, and he's very, very smooth.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that from Brandon Clark. I don't know if he'll ever be a ball handler like Blake is. I don't know if he'll have the mid-range that Blake has. I don't think he'll ever be like a guy who dishes out 5 assists a game like Blake did this year. I don't think he'll ever be that. But if you're looking at a guy who can be very smooth and attack the basket and also play better defense than Blake, I think Brandon Clark is your guy.
All right.
I mean, that's why Blake went 1 and Brandon Clark's going 6.
Yeah.
Let's move to 7 now. Pelicans. I haven't taken Cam Reddish. Ricky, you have him going Brandon Clark. And Dave, you have him going Kobe White. Why Kobe White here? Because I have him a little bit later. Why do you like him going to the Pelicans?
I think it's perfect pairing next to Drew. I think that he comes in and is able to eat some minutes. I know we had the Alfred Payton April again. Like, joke's on. It's funny.
With 5 straight triple doubles.
Yeah, super great. Games that don't matter. Like that's he's king of the games that don't matter. Is he gonna be good ever? Like consistently, probably not. So I take Kobe White here. He can be a 1 or 2. I think he comes in off the bench, gives them good minutes, and is able to contribute to this team. I think
Why
he can take that.
Why not?
Because I think he can take the starter role, but I think Alfred Payton, if he's back again, it kind of deserves the starting role again because he did start to get hurt. To be fair.
I would still put Kobe White next to Drew Holiday.
I in my mind he's there already, but
Yeah.
like I'm just benefit of the doubt is there. So, but no, I think the team needs a lot of things. So at this point, I'm just going with let's lock up that point guard position. Drew Holiday's under contract, so we're good there. Let's move forward as a franchise.
You've been a big fan of Darius Garland. Why not Darius Garland here?
Because I love the defensive idea of having to get by Kobe White and Drew Holiday. Like, those are 2 guards. Drew Holiday is obviously voted one of the most underrated players in the NBA, yet again, because he's phenomenal defensively and has a good offensive game, above average, I'd say. But at the same time, Kobe White is another one of those guys who's a 2-way player, can drive to the hoop, can shoot from the outside, and he can come in and doesn't have the pressure of leading a bad team. He can come in and play with a guy like Drew, who is the leader, who's established. And, I'm assuming the Anthony Davis, that's all folks thing will be situated by, hopefully, this point.
Draft night.
We'll see, though. If it's not, it's not. But that team has at least a brighter future by adding another stable point guard who I think is going to be kind of a linchpin for this team going forward.
Mm-hmm. Ricky, you have him going Brandon Clark.
With me, first off, with the Pelicans, just in general, was anyone else super excited when they saw David Griffin was going to be their new executive VP?
It. Yeah.
Because I was like, holy shit, this franchise is going to get good again very soon. Yeah, with me, the decision was basically Brandon Clark or Jarrett Culver. And I could have had them go Culver because, like we talked about earlier, with Dave, you said, like, oh, he's not a number 1 scorer. Correct. He wouldn't have to be. He got Drew Holiday. The only thing with that is I wasn't super confident in it. And when I look at the front court for the Pelicans, there's a lot of uncertainty for me because next year, for sure, these are the guys that I know are going to be there. Christian Wood, Jahlil Okafor. I don't know.
That's a club option.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if Julius Randle is going to be there.
For $9 million, probably not.
Like
For a lot more than that, maybe.
He'll probably decline it. And yes, the Pelicans might try to get him to stay, but who knows if he's like a Boogie and goes to another team. I'm not saying he goes for what Boogie went for, but another team signs him. Anthony Davis, he's played his last game as a Pelican. He is not going to be back next season.
By the way, Alfred is an unrestricted free agent, so he may not even be there.
So, I mean, like, I look at it, and it's like the only guy that played minutes this season of good, consistent minutes, Jahlil Okafor. He's the only guy that I know for sure because I don't think they're going to pass on him at $1.7 million for next year.
Christian Wood played okay.
He played okay, so he'll be there too. But I mean, that's why I go Brandon Clark because this team is going to need somebody. And what's going to help me in the future? Having a guy like Brandon Clark who can be kind of like a stable for me down low, or taking a Jarrett Culver where I already have Etuan Moore, I already have Solomon Hill, I already have Drew Holiday. Are they going to bring back Alfred Payton? We don't even know. So, I mean, that's why with me, I was looking at Brandon Clark and kind of went more BPA, you could say, over a position that I think would be more of a need with, or actually flip it. I went with more of a need than a BPA that would have been maybe Jarrett Culver. So flip that.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think you do think Jarrett Culver's a better player, so I don't know about BPA.
And we don't even know right now with Jarrett Culver where like
You've had
he
Culver in
hasn't.
your top
No,
five,
I'm
so-
just saying like we don't know. There are now rumors that he may go back to school.
That'd be
next year.
stupid. With the Pelicans, I already talked about this a little bit earlier. Cam Reddish, though, I think that he needs the ball in his hands to be successful. Go to a team where you're going to have that opportunity, and you're going to have that opportunity with Drew Holiday. Yes, he's the number one scoring option, but also he's going to put up 18 points at the most. They're going to need
if he's the only guy, I can see him putting up like 22 again.
But I think if you're going to be bringing back Julius Randle, if you give him a long-term deal, if Cam Reddish is there, I think that he'll probably go back to an 18, to 16 point per game player. And I think that they're getting guys to take shots, and I think Cam Reddish is going to be able to do that. Now, can he do that efficiently? I don't know, but I don't think the Pelicans are going to be aiming to be good. And I think that the Pelicans will be fine if Jarrett Culver, if Cam Reddish takes his time developing, and that's why I think that would be the perfect place for him. There's not going to be a lot of pressure on him media-wise. There's not going to be a lot of pressure on him, at least basketball-wise. There's not going to be pressure for him to be a star right away, and I think it's a great place for him to grow.
This year was the most points that Drew has averaged per game in New Orleans at 21.2, up from 19 last year.
I think that he's more traditionally just going to be around 18. I think that, with AD being gone, I think that's something you saw the most shots he's ever taken. Drew Holiday at 17.3. I think you're going to probably see consistently more of his career. He's probably going to regress back to that like 13.5 a game, field goal attempts per game. So I don't think we're really going to see the 17 or 15. Even if he stays at 15 and is around 19 points, I think you're still going to need somebody else to take the ball away from him at times and bring the ball up and be a secondary ball handler. And I think that's the at least the mold that Cam Reddish should try to fit is a secondary ball handler at the 2 or the 3 and be able to be a guy who can put up points for this team. And I think if he's going to be doing that, I think the Pelicans are probably the best spot for him in the top 7 to do that at, maybe outside the Knicks, but Knicks aren't going to do that if they have the number 1 pick. So I like Cam Reddish a lot there for the Pelicans. I don't know if I like Cam Reddish, but I like the fit. I think that he's an intriguing enough player with that potential to go 7. Let's move now to the Grizzlies. I have him going Darius Garland. You have him going Jarrett Culver, Ricky. And then, Dave, you also have him going Darius Garland. Dave, we talked about this last time. I love this fit. I love this fit.
It's a perfect
It's a great fit.
You add in one of the best scoring guards coming out of high school, and we only got to see him for a couple games in college, but still, you see he has something about his scoring game. All 3 levels hit. He's not afraid to pull the trigger on anything. He's got that confidence in himself. And I think going forward, him working along with Mike Conley is a perfect pairing. Obviously, Mike Conley probably not going to be there for the long term, but if you can get a year under him with Mike Conley, I think that's the ideal mentor for him to grow up with.
No, me, I'm going BPA. Like, Culver has fallen in mine. This is where the fall stops. And the Grizzlies, yes, Garland is there. Yes, point guard is probably a bigger need for them because, Conley, could work this year, but who knows how long Mike Conley is there. Do they trade him after this year? Is he there at the end of his contract? Do they even re-sign him after next year? Because I'm assuming he's going to, he might take the player up. I don't know. But after he's done, is he still going to be there? But I look at it in the shooting guards, Justin Holiday is not going to be there because ever since we traded him to Memphis, he hasn't been the Justin Holiday that he was in Chicago. And then Avery Bradley, I think that Memphis fans might be sitting there going, I can't wait for this contract to be up. So Jarrett Culver could be there.
They just got him. I don't think it's that bad.
I mean,
they got him at the trade deadline.
I think it's something where you can look at it and go, hey, you know what? He can be behind Avery Bradley for a year, and then Avery Bradley kind of goes a separate way, and Jarrett Culver becomes our starting shooting guard after his first year in the NBA, and then works on becoming the starter for the Grizzlies.
Yeah, Avery Bradley was low-key good for Memphis in those 14 games. 46.3% from the field, 38.4% from 3, 92% from the line.
It's a completely
4
different player.
assists, 16 points per game. I don't know if they're really waiting for that contract to be up, too. It's not like they're going to be spending on it. I think the Parsons one for sure. I think Culver's a good fit there. I think that's enough for the slide there. I don't think he's going to fall below 8. But he's already off my board, and I think that Dave already hit on the points with Garland. You need someone who's going to be scorer on that team. Jaren Jackson, I think at his peak, will probably put up 19 at the most. I don't think he's going to be ever topping a 20-point per game scorer. I think he's going to be very good both defensively and offensively. But I think that you look at Darius Garland, he can be a 25-point game per per score.
Oh, absolutely.
If he's getting those shots, he's getting them open looks because his ability to shoot from deep, his ability to attack, he's
got
so
great
quick.
handles too.
Yeah, and he's got great handles. It's a great point. His ability to penetrate and attack. Size might be a worry too with him, but I think he's got more moves than like a Trae Young. I think he can take a little bit more damage when he's driving to the lane.
Yeah.
It's not like Trae Young's gonna get Trae Young driving is gonna get murdered. That's why he needs a floater. Darius Garland can go and attack the rim and lay some buckets in. So I think that Darius Garland would be a very nice fit. And if you have a great offensive player in Darius Garland and you have a very good two-way player in Jaren Jackson, it's really a nice building block there for Memphis. They just won the coin flip too. So
what about the wet boy?
Joe or Bruno?
Obviously, it's Bruno. I mean,
Joe was a wet boy.
I don't know.
They had two.
He's not.
Dylan Brooks was also a wet boy, not Marshawn.
I would put Bruno in that, this young core. Same with JV. Like, they've got, the former Raptors crew, and then they've got Jaren Jackson Jr. now.
DeLon Wright, too.
DeLon Wright, triple-double out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Not super young, but still interesting player. And Darius Garland, player who basically they're like, do we want to lose this, draft pick this year or not? That was the interesting thing at the end. It seemed like they were winning games.
Yeah. Well, and they're close, too. They won a coin flip with the Hawks. They would have been at 9 if they didn't. They won the coin flip. They're now at 8. So if they're at 8 or above, they will keep the pick. If not, it's going to go to the Celtics. So this is a big pick for the Grizzlies too, because adding a guy like Darius Garland, I think, would be massive for this team. But having to wait another year, be very, very painful.
Yeah. It turns into the free agency game. Like, who can you try to throw some money at to pull away? What can you do?
Yeah. But a good thing, too, if they lose the pick, they did take Jaren Jackson, who was the youngest player in the draft last year. So he's still going to be very young next year. He's going to be very young when it comes to the 2020 draft. But let's now move to the Hawks with their second pick. I have Jackson Hayes. Ricky, you have Bol Bol. Dave, you have Jackson Hayes. I think some people are wondering where's Daniel Gafford for the center pick. He's just older than Jackson Hayes. Jackson Hayes is very moldable, I think. Someone brought up the fact that Daniel Gafford has been playing basketball for less time than Jackson Hayes. But a thing that I just like is Jackson Hayes is very athletic, and I think that his full potential hasn't been reached because he wasn't playing with a lot of great guards. He was playing with Kerwin Roach from Texas, and I think that Roach, I think he was the kid who was battling cancer. One of the guys who was on Texas battling cancer. And it was just a weird situation with Texas because they were really playing through their guards and they weren't really playing through their centers. They weren't really getting involved a ton. And I think that we just really didn't see the full potential of Jackson Hayes. And you might look at the numbers and see, Gafford has better numbers. But I think the thing with Hayes is that he is very athletic. He has a great body. And I think the potential there is a lot to be untapped. And that's why I think the Hawks go with him. Defensively, he looks like he would be great next to John Collins. And the athleticism between those two would be absolutely massive. So I think you got to look at that. And Jackson Hayes being younger than Daniel Gafford and having more untapped potential, in my mind, is a reason why the Hawks go.
It was Andrew Jones who had cancer. Kerwin Roach had a torn meniscus.
Gotcha.
In 2018. But I agree. And there's just something about his defensive instincts that are already there. I think Daniel Gafford just doesn't have that. There's something Jackson Hayes knows and has a sixth sense for when to swat. And yes, that can lead to some foul issues at times, but I just think that defensive instinct pays off. And if you can add to his offensive game, like you said, maybe it's the supporting cast around him, maybe it's situational, but he's got a long way to grow as a player, which is exciting. And I think that his fit next to John Collins is ideal.
Does it concern you that he and this could be something where of the team he was on, does it concern you that Hayes was only grabbing 5 boards per game at the center position?
Not really, because John Collins is an amazing rebounder.
Yeah. The thing, too, with Jackson Hayes, I think his rebound percentages are actually great. That was one big concern.
Oh, he's also limited minutes. If you look at his per-game minutes.
Yeah, 23 minutes per game.
Yeah, his per 40 is about 8.6, which still isn't great. But a thing that I do like about him, and this is a big thing that I have a problem with Justin Patton, was that he wasn't a good rebounder coming out. But I think when you look at Hayes' offensive rebound percentage and defensive rebound percentage, they are still low. But when you're not consistently in there, I think that kind of takes back from him. Again, it's untapped potential is the reason why I'm going with this here. There are concerns, and rebounding is definitely one of them, and I'm glad you brought that up.
And for me, this is easy. Yes, I go center along with you guys, but I'm going to go with the center that can shoot some threes, and that's Bol. Like, he's the one where next to John Collins can be down there, and then Bol can be the guy who is with Trae Young, with Herter. This team is going to want to push and go in transition. Bol can do that.
And
he
DeAndre Hunter on your earlier pick.
DeAndre Hunter.
So yeah, he's a matchup nightmare.
Let's just
pulling
shoot
centers out the low post.
Let's just shoot threes, man. Just shoot threes all day with this team, and that's how they're going to win.
All right.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I don't know if I love the fit, but at the same time, I think that it's unique in it that his potential. Again, it's hard to pass up.
I wouldn't touch him in the top 10. Let's move down to the
know.
T-Wolves.
Made that pretty clear.
We know.
I know. Move that with T-Wolves. I have him going Kobe White. Ricky, you have him going Darius Garland. Dave, you have him going Brandon Clark. I love the Brandon Clark fit.
I think that's a 1,000,000,000% fit for me.
We said it last time.
Yep.
Great fit.
He's Cat's new best friend.
He was just off my board.
Yeah, I understand, and that's tough for you. But for me, I'm like, Cat, your problems are being solved right away. We're finally getting around. It shouldn't not right away. Your problems are getting solved by this kid coming up who absolutely loves defense, loves hustle, gives a ton of effort, is old enough so he's not like a rook coming in, you know, and he comes in and makes a huge difference to this team because he's the ultimate fit guy for what they need. Moving forward, Timberwolves have a brighter future because of him. The big question is, it's still not all of their problems addressed, but it's the biggest one because Cat is notoriously awful, lazy, and does not practice defense. As Jimmy Butler said in the most recent Game of His Zones.
Dude, Game of Zones.
It was amazing.
That. I want the baker's son and the chicken.
And the goat.
Yeah, and the goat.
Yeah, that was a great episode.
great.
Sean, I didn't watch it.
Nope.
Jimmy Butler practice was the first episode.
How about we
with
end
the Timberwolves?
How about we end this process?
Yeah.
Puts on the headband.
It was fantastic.
Sick.
But no, I think it's a great fit. Brandon Clark, ton of talent. You know, him going from a smaller school to a larger school and being able to maintain his scoring, continue to build as a player, really proved a lot. Because I wasn't sure when he made that transfer over how good he was going to be, but incredible. He was still an incredible player. He's probably top 5 player in college basketball by the end of the year. I would say, impact-wise, like I know Zion's at the very top, but he's a very good player.
Game of Thrones, real quick. I placed a bet on someone to win the
death poll.
the throne. No,
Oh,
the throne.
The throne?
I don't know who I picked. I forgot. But it was definitely one that was really bad. I want to throw it out there. I'll throw it out there later. Let's keep it with the
John or
T-Wolves.
Daenerys.
I am going Kobe White. I think they need a guard to help take some offensive pressure off
Got a
Cat.
problem with Jeff Teague?
Yeah, he took his option, so he's going to be on the team.
Yeah.
And I
That's a
think
lot of
Teague off
money.
the bench would be interesting. I just see the T-Wolves played better when D-Rose is out there. I think Kobe White just being out there, he's quicker, he's better, he's not injured, and he's going to be more of a consistent shooter from three. I think
Hopefully he doesn't look to take as many shots as Jeff Teague did,
No,
because
I'm
that was
saying-
the killer.
I'm saying he's going to be replacing D-Rose.
Oh.
So he's going to be fixing what D-Rose did. And he's going to be healthier. He's going to be shooting the ball more. He's going to be dishing the ball more. And I
That
think
team was good with Derrick Rose.
that's what I'm
And
saying.
Walton.
So if D-Rose leaves,
You can't replace Kobe White is not Derrick Rose.
I'm saying if D-Rose leaves, he's going to have to fill the role of D-Rose.
But Walt Lemon Jr. is.
Am I wrong, though, by saying that if D-Rose leaves, the next point guard in, as in Kobe White, will need to take his spot?
You can't say take his spot because he can't. He will try to be a bench point guard for them.
Why will he fail? What does he
I didn't
have
say
that
he's gonna
D-Rose
fail.
doesn't?
I didn't say he's going to fail.
Okay.
I just said that
You
he
sound
will
very
try.
down on this T-Wolves pick for Kobe White.
I just think that they're stuck with Jeff Teague and Kobe White. Yes, they want to make him the next guy.
One more year of Teague.
Yeah, they're stuck with him for this year.
Okay, but what's wrong with Kobe White on T-Wolves?
Nothing. I hate when you get all aggressive about Derrick Rose. So I felt the need to defend him and his great
And his
year last
honor.
year.
I'm
He had a
saying,
great year.
and that's why I'm saying
Dave's
that
fighting
if
for D-Rose's
D-Rose,
honor.
I'm saying if D-Rose leaves,
Yes.
Kobe White
Yep.
will be the next point guard to take his spot.
Yep. I
And-
just taking his spot sounds so
Dagger.
something.
Just-
Yeah.
You're turning the knife a little bit.
I'm reading too
on
much into it,
Dave.
Sean.
Yeah, you're just being a bitch. But yeah, I think
That's how that
I think
feels.
Kobe White will
Be
be
professional.
I think Kobe White will be a scoring point guard who will try
I don't
to
think they need a
stretch
scoring
the
point guard.
floor. Why not?
Because they already have Andrew Wiggins and Cat. And I know
Andrew
everybody
Wiggins
hates it.
is the worst shooter in the NBA.
Correct.
There's a
So you
literal
might not
video
like my
that
pick
explains
either
how
of
bad he
Darius
is.
Garland.
No, I'm just saying, like, I don't think they need that. If you want to make Andrew Wiggins work, he has to play the 2, and he has to take shots. Like, he provides no other value, so you're stuck with him for several years under contract.
I think you're just stuck with him. I just don't think he has any value. Whether you could try anything with him. I just think he's
you play him
really bad.
exclusively against the Oklahoma City Thunder.
There you go. That's one of them. I think he's just that's the thing is you can't take him out of the starting lineup. You have to play him.
I know, that's why
he's really bad.
I think Kobe White's a good fit because I don't think Kobe White has to jack up shots to be a good team player because he was a good team player at UNC.
Yeah, no, I
think
agree
the
with
fit
that.
is good.
I'm thinking though he's just going to come off the bench and D-Rose put up 18. I don't think he'll put up 18, but I think he'll be able to put up like 15 or maybe like 14. Like I think
I'm looking
gonna
at
be a
him
good
being
scorer.
like a 10-5 guy.
Well, I think that this is a Timberwolves team that does not play defense. So I think that they're going to have so many
It's a lot of
opportunities
possessions.
to score.
Yeah, a lot of possessions.
I don't think I think he's a very mature scorer, and I think that
Yeah.
he
Does the
will
Fro
have
stay?
a ton of shots. What?
Does his fro stay? Does he
Hope
keep
so.
growing it?
I'd be pissed off if he doesn't.
I'm just saying.
That's a great fro.
Yeah.
It's one of the best. It's best hair in this draft.
It's better than
for
Jared
sure.
Allen. I know Jared Allen's was great. Spence Dinwiddie, same thing. I like the
Yeah.
Brooklyn Nets. I wish I could mock him there just to keep
Allen
the fro group together.
and Dinwiddie have too much. It's too preppy. Like it's too
Too clean?
Yeah, it's too clean. I love Kobe White.
Yeah.
Just like Kobe White just hasn't gotten a haircut in 4 years, and that's what I love about it. It's great. But yeah, Kobe White I think is a good fit there. Garland's an interesting one though.
Yeah, that was just one where I was looking at it, and it's like in the past mock drafts, let's see, 4.0 when we had the T-Wolves, I had the Brandon Clark thing that Dave was going on with. But this time around, I got Clark going a little bit higher. So if I were to, let's say I flip things and I had the Pelicans go with Culver instead of Clark, then maybe the Grizzlies go... Let's see, what did I have them
Maybe
go
a Darius
last time?
Garland, and then you would have Brian
Maybe
Clark at the Timberwolves
maybe
like I did.
Darius Garland,
Yeah,
and then
exactly what I
Bobo the Hawks, and then Brandon Clark. So I mean,
that's
basically
fine.
the Pelican
They
pick
could use a scoring
screwed
guard.
the T-Wolves.
I mean, like Sean said, the year before they had Jamal Crawford still playing, and he was their scorer. Whether that was right or wrong is not my choice, but that's what it was. Last year was Derrick Rose's show, so I agree. Like they have had a great scorer off the bench in the past 2 years in a row. So to go for a young kid who can do the same thing, I don't disagree. I just don't know that that's necessarily the way to get the best out of their starters long term.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think the T-Wolves are just in such a bad spot with that contract of Andrew Wiggins, and it's the thing that's going to kill him.
Would you give up a 10th overall pick to move that contract? Like what?
Ooh,
Right? I mean,
no.
that I would sit on it. I would keep trying to build. I know it sucks, but like, there's got to be hope that he's going to turn a corner, or
There's got to be some way he's
the
usable.
final year. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
and he's just not. Like,
maybe. Yeah.
I think there was something he's only good on the right side of the floor, or something like that.
I wouldn't be surprised
Might
to
be a
see a
different.
shooting chart.
No, that's Bagley. Bagley's only good on the right side of the floor.
Well, yeah, we knew that coming out
Yeah,
of
yeah.
college. Like we made jokes about that during the draft.
I'm mixing up my videos though. But yeah, like Wiggins is just hopeless. I don't know. If he comes back and puts up like an efficient 20 next year, he's comeback player of the year, without a doubt.
Like his scoring doesn't change at all. It's just efficiency went up.
Yeah.
Player of the year.
Seriously. But he's so inefficient, it's bad. That's gonna do it for the 1 through 10. Any final thoughts?
It was fun.
No, I absolutely loved it.
All right, but let's move into the next segment, and that's 11 through 20. We're going to try to hit every single team, at least give you some explanation on why these guys. That's what been one of your guys' complaints with these mock drafts is we give the picks, but we don't talk about it
Constructive
fully.
criticism.
Yeah, so we're going to try to at least talk about some of these picks and why these teams would be doing it. So, Ricky, try it out. 11 through 20.
Well, the Lakers at 11, I have Tyler Hero. And the reason why I have Tyler Hero is because usually I've had center here, but I'm thinking you need shooting to go with LeBron. Tyler Hero, there you are. Then the Hornets at 12, Romeo Langford. It's mainly because I'm not reaching for a point guard here, even if I think Kemba's walking. And Romeo Langford, we need a two-guard, best two-guard, maybe BPA right here at 12. Then the Heat, Sekou. I've always loved Sekou's fit with the Heat the last couple of drafts. That's where I've kind of lined him up. Then probably the lowest I've had him, and I'll be honest, the coin flip made him fall in my mock because he was in the top 10 before coin flips. Rui Hachimura going to the Celtics. The Celtics can take him at 14 all they need is wings, point guard, and a center with their 4 picks. So they go with Rui at
All they need is a
14.
whole team?
Yeah, but they could basically.
They already have so many guys on the roster.
That's what I'm looking. Center and point guard are needs, and then hey, let's just take 2 wangs that we can get. Then the Pistons, Kevin Porter Jr. adding some shooting guard help and some scoring, and maybe could turn into a number 1 scorer for them. Then the Magic going Nickeil Alexander-Walker, adding some scoring at the guard position. Then the Nets, P.J. Washington, phenomenal tournament. Wanted him to rise a little bit more, but couldn't find a team that might have went after him with the front courts that they have. So he'll go to the Nets that could use a power forward desperately. Then Keldon Johnson to the Pacers. If he is here, then rumor is he would go back to school.
Potentially.
Is what you're saying?
There's some rumor out there if he doesn't get a lotto guarantee. I don't know how close on the lotto to, just outside the lotto he is, but he is looking for that guarantee pretty early.
What if you get a guarantee and you're still not picked? Like, then you get screwed.
I mean, guarantees, though, that's what you got to take the risk.
Deals, and we'll see. I think he's probably staying out regardless. I don't see him coming back, even though I think it would benefit him.
But the Pacers, I'm just going BPA there with Keldon Johnson. Then the Spurs going with they're either going 3 or 5. Here they'll go with the 3, my boy Lewis King. Quack, quack, Oregon Ducks. And then the C's, the Celtics, they are going to go with Jackson Hayes, pick up their center at 20 via the Clippers.
Nice. All right, Dave, 11 through 20.
All right, at number 11. I do have the Lakers going with Cam Reddish. This is basically just a pick because potential.
He's still on the board.
He's still on the board.
He's like Brandon Ingram, but 2 years later.
Jesus. No, Brandon Ingram had so much more.
Yeah, with way less production.
Cam Reddish has potential, but I've passed him over enough times. I thought I was going to be cruel and give him to the Timberwolves just as like an ironic joke. Be like, here, have another. But I'm like,
another
no.
one.
The Lakers actually could work with him, so I like the idea of Cam Reddish on that team. Hornets, I'm going to Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He had an amazing time in the tournament. Absolutely loved his play. I think this team adds in another guard. He can go 1 or 2 depending on the Kemba situation, and I think he can actually be a great 1 guard because they've got a lot of scoring talent at the 2 and the 3. So I like his fit on that team. The Heat, Sekou Demboya, workout warriors. Like I the one thing about Euro players when they come over to the U.S., a lot of it is conditioning. They've been playing basically year-round, and they haven't had a chance to actually build up their bodies physically. Sekou Demboya is a guy with a body, but imagine how well he can get down. Like, they do this whole like body fat camp, basically, with the Heat. Their conditioning's amazing. I think that's a perfect fit for him. Goes in there and can build himself up. Celtics taking Kevin Porter Jr. Kid's got, incredible upside, but also is kind of a little bit of a knucklehead, so it's a risky pick. What?
You gotta say it like Charles.
A little knucklehead.
Knucklehead.
But again, when you watch his highlights, you're like, oh, this kid's like gonna be a top 5 pick, guarantee. And then you watch like his whole game, like, where'd he go? Why is he not like what is going on? Is this his? Some of it's his choice, some of it's his coach's choice to remove him from the system for Benny Boatwright, which is weird. But college coaches want to win college games. Go figure. Moving along, Pistons taking Romeo Langford. I really do like Luke Kennard, but I think Romeo Langford adds additional depth at the scoring guard position and can be a dangerous shooter at the NBA level. The Magic at 16 taking Tyler Hero. Again, looking for another shooting guard. Adding depth, this kid was a lights-out shooter in college. Came up pretty clutch for them. Going to the next level, he'll definitely be the fill-in for Evan Fournier as he moves along. At number 17, Nets taking P.J. Washington. One of the best 4s on the board, can stretch it out. That second year in college really helped him out a ton. He went way up the board, so I love the fit here. He adds space, gives this Nets team, who are already doing some special stuff, another piece to move forward with. Pacers taking Rui Hachimura. I love this fit. I think he is the ideal guy to help this team out because if they roll him out as a small ball 3 or as a 4 off the bench, he can take the ball in his hands. He can drive to the hoop. Absolutely looks great for that system. KZ Okpala going to the Spurs. Intriguing prospect. I don't know what he will be, but they've got time and they've got the right coach and the right coaching staff to help build him out because ball in his hands, he's an intriguing prospect. His shot's kind of questionable at times, but there's something about him where I think he's worth a stab at 19.
Yeah, and they don't have a lot of wings on that team. I mean, outside of Rudy Gay.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And his contract's going to be up, so you don't know what they're going to move or what pieces they're going to have to go with during free agency after this. And then at 20, the Celtics, I got them going Goga at a center. He's been absolutely fantastic as of late in international play. Looks aggressive around the hoop, and I like his rebounding game. So I'm looking forward to this. Looking forward to it.
I'll jump in now. 11. I have the Lakers taking my favorite player, Bol out of Oregon. Looking at it, I think that this team needs something.
You could just stop there. It's the Lakers. They need something.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's an interesting prospect.
Yeah.
And he might be injured. He might get injured again. He's going to be at a higher injury risk, but he won't need to be a very high usage player. He will be a guy that will be playing off ball a lot. And when you're playing next to LeBron James, and if he is a 7'3" who can shoot from the outside, you're going to be getting open looks from LeBron James, and you're going to have that extra length as well.
Sean, what's my favorite play in NBA? Is it the trailing three?
It is the trailing three.
Because it's the trailing three.
Because, and
LeBron James runs fast breaks like nobody's business. Mm-hmm. So, opportunities galore.
And I just think, it's kind of with the Cam Reddish thing, it's like, he's got the most potential, so just take him.
Yep.
And that's my thinking with Bol there for the Lakers. I don't know what's going on. We'll talk about that a little bit later. The Hornets taking PJ Washington. I think they need shooting. I'm not too worried about Kemba leaving. I think he's going to stay. And I think that you need help shooting from the wing position. Nick Batum really didn't provide that too much in at least a volume standard. I think he had a bounce back year this year.
He had a decent year, actually, yeah.
But it wasn't something that
not up to his contract still, but can't really help that.
I mean, he only scored 9.3 points per game this year, but he was shooting 38% from three. I think they need something more than that. If Batum's a bench player that can shoot 38% from three, that'd be nice, but I think you need a starter in PJ Washington who could shoot much more efficiently from the outside and to do much more than just shoot from the outside. So I like the Hornets taking PJ Washington there. I have the Heat going with Nicky Alexander-Walker. They're running Justice Winslow at the point, and Winslow was not consistent as a point.
Screw you, man.
He wasn't consistent. He wasn't bad. He wasn't consistent, though.
It's the best Justice Winslow we've seen to the date.
Agreed, but he wasn't consistent. That's what I'll say. And I think that, having Nicky Alexander-Walker, who isn't just a true one, he's more of a 1-2, would be a nice fit there. And Goran Dragic does have a player option that most likely he's going to accept, but next year he won't be on the team. And I think Nicky Alexander-Walker kind of fits the mold of a Heat player. Very smart. He's very...
He's smart. He's long.
Fits a team play.
Yeah.
He's long. And I think he is very... He's not something wowing, but he's a good basketball player. And that's really... outside of Whiteside, his athleticism, and outside of Bam, him being an athletic freak, they really don't have a lot of athletic freaks. And I think Nicky Al kind of fits just the mold of a Miami Heat player. I think
James Johnson, but he's at the end of his career.
That's true. Then 14, I have the Celtics taking Sekou Demboya. They have so many options here. I think they're going to probably trade all three of these picks to get Anthony Davis. But if they're taking him, I think they'll go Sekou Demboya. They can take a shot, and I think Sekou Demboya is worth a top 10 pick. I think he does have that potential, but I think he'll probably be written off because he doesn't have that production overseas like a Luka Doncic had, and I think that the conditioning will be something that will worry some teams. He'll need some time. The Celtics can give him time. At 15, I have the Pistons taking Romeo Langford. Very similar to your saying, Kennard was fine, but I think
he exploded at the end of the year. But that if we can get more of that next year, he can be a starting shooting guard. You still need scoring.
Yeah,
like it's that team struggled.
And the thing with Romeo too is Romeo will not be a day one player. He won't be a day one starter, and I think he needs time to develop. And being next to a guy who showed so much development throughout his career in Blake Griffin might be a very good leadership opportunity for Romeo Langford. I really like Langford as a player, really do, but he needs some development and some time, and I think the Pistons can provide that because Kennard might not be a long-term play for them. Blake Griffin might not be a long-term play for them because he's not. I think he's 3 more years left in that contract.
Yeah, it's pretty long-term in NBA terms these days.
But Romeo Langford is gonna be like 22, 23 when that contract comes up. And then looking at the Magic, I think Evan Fournier, his contract's coming up soon. They need shooting as well, just in general, just off the bench. I think Tyler Herro would be a good pick for them. At 17, I have the Nets going Rui Hachimura. Hachimura is a player that probably should go higher, but there's no fit that really stands out here. And the Nets are a team that can have shown the ability to mold players and get the most out of these players. Yeah. And I think Hachimura does need that. His shot selection is not good. He's not a natural shooter. He's not a natural scorer. He is a very natural athlete, though. He's a very natural attacker of the basket. And I think that's something that can really help the help the Nets. One thing that I think they don't have is a big that can attack the bucket. Jared Allen kind of can, but I think Hachimura can provide some big offensive production for them. A lot of their production does come from Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, and D'Angelo Russell. Hachimura can bring some bigger offensive production for them. Then going to the Pacers, I have Nasir Little going. Clearly a highly ranked high school prospect, but has not been able to put it all together. Had some good games in the tournament, had a good game against Iona, but nothing consistent. And I think that the Pacers do get the most out of their players, and just the body that he has, the potential he has, I think it's something the Pacers really can't pass up. Bojan might be gone. He might be asking for too much, and Nasir Little might be able to step in once he's fully developed to be that next three for them. Then going to the Spurs at 19, I have Kevin Porter Jr. going. Again, the potential is too much there. I know they have a lot of guards. Derek White there, DeJounte Murray coming back, but they still need a scorer at that position. Derek White kind of showed flashes there, but I don't think he's going to be ever like a 15-point per game scorer. I think Kevin Porter Jr. can be that. I think he could be the offensive help to a DeJounte Murray.
Do you think Lonnie Walker, where do you see him in this team moving forward? Because we only got like a handful of minutes out of him at the end of the year. But
yeah, he was injured, played in the G League a little bit.
Do you see him being one of the guys who, like, 2 years from now is one of their main scorers, or do you think that he's more of a role player on this team? I know it's so early to call. That's the problem.
I liked him a lot coming out.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of left the site, and it's not like I've been missing him, So I don't know exactly what to get from Lonnie Walker. And I think Kevin Porter Jr. could be in a very similar mold to Lonnie Walker, so that could be a reason why you don't take him. But they're still losing possibly Rudy Gay this year, and I think they need to get a lot of offensive help. And I think a big thing is clearly Pop doesn't like shooting from the outside, and he doesn't like using modern day NBA styles. And I think that Kevin Porter, if he hits, I think what it is pretty much. Him and Lonnie Walker and Kevin Porter are very similar players. Both of them won't hit, though.
Okay. Do you think?
And if one of them hits,
ping pong balls, let's make one of them work, and we'll lock down the position.
I was high on Lonnie Walker because I think he had potential. He showed a lot of great stuff in the second half of his Miami career, and Kevin Porter showed a lot of great stuff in his first half of his USC career.
Yeah.
I just think that both guys need some time. Lonnie Walker obviously showed that as he wasn't called up from the G League right away. I think both guys are just working projects, and they both might not hit. But I think Kevin Porter, at least potential-wise, is too much to pass up there. And then finally, 20, the Celtics taking Keldon Johnson Jr. Keldon Johnson, not Jr. Keldon Johnson. They're going to be losing possibly Terry Rozier, possibly Kyrie Irving. Who else are they possibly losing? Marcus Morris. And I think they're going to need, at least with Rozier and Kyrie possibly leaving, they're going to need some guard help. And losing Avery Bradley has hurt them, and I think that he might be able to fit a very similar role to what Avery Bradley was on this team. A defensive guy, a defensive guard who can shoot from the outside. Keldon Johnson, we had him higher, and he's taken a fall just because he wasn't really consistent in Kentucky. And it's kind of a flip of Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero was just hot late, and that's why he rose.
And Keldon got Johnson cold late.
Yeah, so, I mean, we can probably see a balancing act between him and Harrow, where they flip or they end up coming near each other. But I think Keldon Johnson, I was worried about his consistency, and I'm worried about what his true scoring nature would be in the NBA. Would he be a guy that just shoots from the outside or not? So that's our 11 through 20. Let's jump into some of these guys. Keldon Johnson is one of those guys that we wanted to talk about. Let's talk about him getting cold. Ricky, we'll go to you because it's been a while since you talked. Let us know also what you think of this style. I'm not a huge fan of it. At least the way we did this, just because.
My only thing, and this is just live on the podcast, is I do like because it's fair to every team where it's like, hey, this is why I did it. Hey, this is why I did it. We just don't want this to go way too long before we.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're at 20 minutes. Yeah. So I feel like it also took you out of the conversation too. Like you started and then it's been 20 minutes since you talked.
For next time, I feel like it would just be like, I go through mine. This is why, this is why, this is why. Dave, this is why, this is why, this is why. Sean, this is why, this is why, this is why. That's what we would do but hey, trying new things out. We adapt. Hey, we might even change things for next year. So it's like, we're always adapting. We're always changing. We want the best product out there.
Yeah, what do you think about Keldon Johnson?
With me, Keldon Johnson, he was one of the biggest questions for me because he fell so much for me. And I don't know. Here's the thing I hate, and I do, but I hate it, is you look at the tournament and the guy plays bad. You go, oh, he'll fall. But then immediately I go, look at the whole year. Like, March is not this is what this player is. You got to look at the entire year. And of course, guys grow, but it's like you have, like Jared Culver, he had a bad 2 games. Is that making him a bad player? No. For me, he's potentially still a top 5 pick. Yes, did he fall out of my top 5? Yes, but it had nothing to do with just those 2 games. Keldon Johnson, I think, is the same way, where I hate that I'm doing it, but because of how he played late, it's affecting where he's going to go. Plus, it doesn't help that a guy like Rui falls in my mock draft, because if a guy like Rui falls, that means a guy like Keldon Johnson is also going to fall in a mock draft.
I don't know if that's the same for everybody, because you see, just to get this right, you see Rui as a 3, and you see Keldon as a 2.
So I see Rui as more of a 3, but I could see how people see him as a 4.
Okay.
I understand it, but I think that with his skills, I would have him more at the 3. He's a 3 that has maybe some 4 height or size to him.
Okay. Yeah, for me, I think Keldon Johnson, you said it earlier, Sean, wildly inconsistent games. He goes from, of course, he can light up Albany Christian. Like, no one cares about that, unfortunately for him. But at the same time, you look at the last 3 games, Wofford, Houston, Auburn, disappointing performances in all 3 of them. Not awful, but just kind of disappointing. And I think that's the thing, is he was even subbed out of that Auburn game at a couple of key moments, because he did play 38 minutes of the game. But there were several moments during that and Houston's game where it was like, Houston especially, I think, was one in my memory, where he was like, dude, you are hurting your team right now. You need to be off the floor. Like, just stupid mistakes. And he's a player who absolutely has defensive aggression. He wants to go out there. He wants to do the best he can. And I think he does shine better as a defender. But from a scoring standpoint, he's not a great decision maker with his shots right now. And he needs to understand when he gets cold to not keep jacking up shots. I think part of the problem was the point guard play was toss-up. So I think in the NBA, if he's just a guy and he can go out there and defend and shoot threes, he can kind of fall into, like, maybe, I don't want to comp him as KCP, but in a similar role, I think that could work out well for him. I think him being a smaller role and not having to carry an offensive load works really well for him.
That's why I like the Avery Bradley thing.
Yeah,
especially
Avery Bradley
going
also
to
works really well too.
Just because they lost that player and they really haven't gotten it back. Yeah. Marcus Smart, great defender, but he's not really
His
great.
His 3-point shot got better.
Yeah, but I mean, historically, he's not a great 3-point shooter. And I think that's one thing that they've kind of lost since Avery Bradley left was that ability to have a 3-and-D player. I think Keldon Johnson can bring that, but can he bring anything more than that? Not really. I think that's why he went down. I think at his peak potential, he showed that he might be something more than that. And that's why he was like at 10, and we were like, well, maybe he can even take a larger step up if he's on a different team. But I don't think that's really true now.
What happens if he goes back? Let's say what the rumors say, he's not a guaranteed lottery pick. He goes back to Kentucky. What happens to Keldon Johnson in your mind?
It helped P.J. Washington. I mean, P.J. Washington was not a first rounder in our mind last year, and he went back, and now he's 12.
Which is weird for a Calipari school. Yeah. Usually they come out and they declare and they go. And they don't think about coming back.
I think Keldon, it would definitely help him because he might get a larger role on that Kentucky team and show what he truly do. Because if he thinks he's a lottery pick and he's not getting that, I think that would be smart for him. I don't think Gafford did that because I don't think Gafford said he wanted a lottery thing or anything like that. But I think it'd be similar to that situation where Gafford was mocked in our lottery last year and then he pulled out. Or like an Ivan Robb. Robb did that and that didn't work out for him. So it's definitely a risky pick, but it has shown out. P.J. Washington was one of those guys. So I think that it would probably be in his best interest to go back. But obviously you're always risking the injury of the possibility of injury. So if he does go back, I wouldn't blame him. I'll put it that way.
I think he'll have actually a better cast potentially next year too. Recruiting depending, I think that he could shine a little bit better. So I agree. He needs to work on his game. He needs to be more consistent with his scoring. He's not a bad player by any means, but I think that next year he could get himself into that. Probably, at least guarantee himself a lottery pick.
Yeah, I think he needs to show more of an ability to be a ball handler. I think that's the one thing that I feel like he's kind of lacking, his ability to be a ball handler. And I think that's one thing that Jared Culver does provide. And he could be, similar to Jared Culver, where Culver came in He played great defense. Was a great ball handler, and that's why he shot up. And Jarrett Culver was not in our first round last year, and that was because that was such a loaded draft. But he was not like on our radar to be a first round pick in any sense of the way. And I think that if Keldon Johnson's able to go back and show that he can run an offense, briefly, show it every now and then in a couple games, I think that'd be huge for Keldon's stock. But right now, I think on going back is definitely on the table for Keldon Johnson. I think it should be.
Because I'm even looking here, and two of the big guys that Kentucky is looking to add next year is Maxey, who's the top recruit out of Texas, 9th overall.
Yep.
He's going to be combo guard, going to be there. And then, although he hasn't signed, it looks like Khalil Whitney, the small forward out of New Jersey, who is the 7th overall, top in New Jersey. They're going to add them as well. Maybe might clash with Keldon Johnson, but might not be the worst thing for him.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. I think he could have a good combine, though. I think that's one of those ones, if he's athletic enough. I don't know if he has elite athleticism.
Shoots him back up.
Yeah, but the 5-on-5 could prove something out there.
Yeah, and maybe he does have just like a weirdly great, vertical leap, and maybe he does have a great speed. Maybe it was just something where he was just not showing it for some reason at Kentucky.
We've hit, again, weird guys show up in the combine.
Yeah, for sure. Let's move now to the Heat. Heat are an interesting team for me. I have Nicky Alexander-Walker going. You both have Sekou going. Why Sekou to the Heat? Well, why do you guys like that pick?
It's a perfect place for him to mold into like an uber athletic wing. Like that's my mind. He's already got like great wingspan, great size. If you get him down to being like a yoked up version of himself, that's exactly what you want, because his shot will continue to grow. You've seen Miami develop shooters over time. I think that they're finding their way with using Justice as a point, which opens up the floor, because basically you've just got James Johnson, or you roll with a smaller lineup, or the weird like Kelly O-Bam combo that they did towards the end. Mm-hmm. I didn't really love all of those ideas, but I think that he could come in, not going to be an immediate impact player, but he's someone who will grow and is absolutely like, he's got all the right tools. The question is, who can take him and develop him as a player? And Miami is one of my top teams for them.
They can take the swing, because you think about it, without him, they were a fringe playoff team. So even if they add him and he's takes this year to kind of develop, I don't think it's going to hurt the Heat with what their goal is. Like this team with Sekou in kind of like a very minor role could still be a team that challenges for the 6th, 7th, 8th spot in the East.
Why not get a player like Nicky Alexander-Walker who can come in and help your team make the playoffs? Sekou might not. Nicky Al can.
It's all about that ceiling. Like, where do you see the ceiling for Walker compared to Demboya? And I feel like in some minds, like, of course, there's always the kind of, now everyone doesn't know what to think about international players, because we all thought we knew what it was last year, and Luka just broke the glass ceiling and was like, hey, look, dude, no, you're wrong.
Yeah.
So now everyone's probably going to overreact and go, oh, we can take it. Like, look what happened with Luka. And now everyone's going to, like, kind of see, oh, I get it. Everyone's not Luka Doncic.
We will overcorrect back
so,
and forth.
It might be a little bit of that, but I think that the Heat are in a situation, where they could take a guy like Sekou and not have to worry if it takes him a year or two to kind of develop. And they've got a consistently solid coach of Spoelstra, where I'm not expecting him to go anywhere anytime soon.
No. Unless they miss the playoffs again. But, he's not getting a ton of help, at least talent-wise.
I think Pat Riley understands the situation
I think you got
Spoelstra's in.
For me, I had Nikhil off the board already. But for me, if I'm the Heat, I'm swinging for the highest thing, because you don't have that 2021 pick.
That's true.
So, and you're kind of loaded up on contracts. Like Deion Waiters is through 2020. Josh Richardson, you gave him that long-term deal. Great deal, potentially, at $9 million, 10-10, and an 11 player op. Justice, you've got locked up. James Johnson's got a 16 mil player op in 2020 still. Like, I'm not even going to talk about the Hassan Whiteside coming up, player option shenanigans. Is he going to leave for less money? But like, you're sort of in a position where you're stuck on a lot of these like middle contracts. And I think that if they want to make a change of pace, they can trade off some of those guys, because they're valuable pieces. It's just for the money you're paying them, you're not going to get over the hump. So I think you go for the guy with a ton of upside in Sekou, where if he develops, you're absolutely just loving that pick, and you're locked in with him, Justice, Josh, and Bam, and that's your young core.
Do you feel he has the most potential?
Left on the board right now?
Yes.
Let me double check. Scroll down.
Kevin Porter would be in that. Romeo Langford would be in that conversation, I think. Hachimura would be in that conversation, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Rui's the weird one
Nasir.
because he's older, but he didn't start playing basketball until recently. So I kind of, not everyone's Pascal Siakam, but I kind of have that hope in the back of my head now. Thanks, Pascal, for screwing up my expectations. I think he's up there. I think he absolutely is. Yeah, I'll say he is. Everybody below Sekou Demboy on my board, minus Kevin Porter. I changed my mind. Kevin Porter.
Kevin Porter, okay.
Yeah.
But why not Kevin Porter then? Going to the Heat.
They already have a fairly loaded, like, Dion Waiters plus Josh Richardson, I think, is their two position pretty much locked up, 2-3 combo. So I'm good with that. I like Kevin Porter, but he does not seem like someone who would get in line at underneath the Heat and their coaching staff and their front office. That would be my concern. Like, I could see him being like, oh, you're telling me I have to get in line or else? I'll choose or else. And they're like, enjoy the bench, kid.
Yeah, let's talk about Nicky Alexander-Walker here. We're going to talk about him separately, but let's just do it because he's on the Heat right now, at least going to me. I think he's a very underrated player. I think people look at the point guards and I think he probably drops off after Kobe White. Don't sleep on him. He's 6'6", cousin of Shea. Wouldn't
it be great if the Clippers could have gotten Nickeil and Shea to play together?
Too big, though. You know?
You got 2 Alexander Walkers on that team. That would have been great.
No, because one's Gilgeous.
I'm sorry, yeah.
One's Gilgeous Alexander and the other one's Alexander Walker.
Okay. Yeah. Still super awesome.
Yeah, it would be cool to see the cousins play together.
Yep.
We saw it with T-Mac and Vince, though. It didn't work out. I just think that Alexander Walker is a guy that you really shouldn't be sleeping on. I think people were overhyping Shea a little bit last year.
But he had a great year in the NBA. And I think
he did.
I think that cements Nickeil as like, well, if he can do it.
What I'm trying to say is I think people were like, when people are like, oh, this guy's a sleeper, you know? Like Shea Gilgeous was the sleeper last year. Wasn't really a sleeper.
No.
And I think people with Nickeil are kind of overlooking him a bit, or maybe not paying enough attention to him, where he is actually a sleeper. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. I don't think Shea was overrated. But
I think we were all confused by the Jerome Robinson pick more than anything.
Yeah, that was bad. That was a fucking reach. But yeah, I think looking at Alexander Walker, big guard, can play the 1 and the 2, can shoot, can play defense, can do everything you need from a guard. And I think he can be a guy who, with the Heat, where they do want to play kind of Swiss Army like with Winslow at the 1. They'll obviously have Goran. They'll have Waiters out there. They'll have a lot of different looks. Nicky Alexander-Walker just fits that mold. So you guys have him going to the Magic. Ricky, you have him going to the Magic. And then Dave, you have him going to the Hornets. Why do you like those two teams?
For me, it's just I've always looked for the Hornets, and the last few mock drafts I've had them go with more so the best 2 guard off the board. And for me, that's Alexander Walker. So it's like one of those things where, I mean, point guard could be. I mean, DJ Augustin playing out right now in a playoff game.
You got him going to the Magic.
But I mean, it's just like Evan Fournier and Terrence Ross are your guys right now. Is Terrence Ross going to get re-signed to me back next year? I can then have Nickeil Alexander and then have him under Fournier. And then if Fournier doesn't take his $17 million or he's done after 2021 with us, I can then segue Nickeil into our starting lineup.
Yeah, and Dave, we wanted to talk about the Hornets in this one, so just jump it off with the Nicky Alexander-Walker talk. Why does he fit with the Hornets?
Because y'all need a guard. Like, you've got Tony Parker, who's like basically
old,
39 going into next year, I think. 38.
Sure, he's not like 60.
He's old. I don't know if he'll actually play next year. He did pretty well in limited minutes. And then Devontae Graham. Those are 2 point guards under
37.
contract. All right. And then at the 2, you've got Lamb, Monk, and using Dwayne Bank in there this year. I think that adding Walker adds a ton of versatility and gives you that plan in case Kemba leaves and you don't want to go out and free. Like, I would still suggest going in free agency looking for somebody, but I think Nickeil can soak a lot of minutes and is an absolute fantastic fit for this team because they've got some intriguing young prospects and they've been slowly rebuilding under the guise of terrible centers. So I'll be curious to see his fit on that team. I think it could be really positive.
Ricky, you have him going with Romeo Langford. Why do you like that fit for the Hornets?
I mean, for me, it's one of those things where at first I kind of wanted to, if Darius Garland would have slipped a little bit more, he would have been the pick there. Obviously, the Hornets are in a tricky situation at 12 because if you feel Kemba is not coming back, you might be sitting there going, man, I wish a point guard was here that we were able to kind of grab up. But, I mean, I'm just taking right there the best guard off the board. And for me, that's Romeo Langford. It was either Romeo Langford or Kevin Porter Jr., and I feel like I'm more confident in Romeo Langford because of what Dave said about Porter Jr. earlier in the year of like, he's really good. And then it's like, oh, where'd he go? Like what in everything that's happened with Kevin Porter Jr., I don't know if he is going to be what we all think he can be or if it's just going to be he's a good NBA player or if it's the very last option, he's not anything close to where we think he can be. So we're just taking the best guard off the board, and that's Romeo.
Yeah, I love Romeo. I hope he does well in the NBA. I just wonder about his fit with the Hornets just because they have Monk.
I expected a little bit more out of him, though, out of Indiana. But, I mean, we've said that all year.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, though, is just like I think is a little bit weird of a fit because they do have some two guards that I think are intriguing, especially Monk, just not getting the minutes out there.
He's wildly inconsistent. I mean, that kid, he needs more time, and that's someone.
Well, that's the thing with Romeo is like he's inconsistent and he needs more time too.
Yep.
So you're having two guards there that kind of play similar too. Yeah. Both scoring
but
guards.
Monk's got a better three right now. So
yeah, I mean, great free throw shooter, 88%. But yeah, Romeo is a kid that I think he has star potential, just like Monk did. But it's like, would you want to double up in that in the past 3 years? But hey, I think if you think he's got the most potential, definitely go with him. I have him going PJ Washington. We mentioned him a little bit already. I just absolutely love him. I think he's a very good 3, possibly even a stretch 4. And they don't really have that. Kind of maybe Marvin Williams-esque. Marvin Williams is like one of the best shooters from like the corner or something like that.
Yeah,
he's just like 46% from the corner. PJ Washington, I think, can be a guy that might fit more like a younger Marvin Williams. Both came from Blue Bloods. Marvin Williams was the second overall pick back in 2006. But I think looking at PJ, he can put the ball on the floor. He can, use his mid-range game a little bit. He is a good shooter from the outside. The foot might be a little bit of a worry. He had to miss some time in the NCAA tournament, but it wasn't like a break or anything like that, so that's not too bad. And he does play good defense. So I think the Hornets do need that. They don't really have a great 3. We already talked about Batum and his bad contract. They need a 3-4 that really brings up that team. They don't have a center, which is definitely going to be something they need to address as well.
What are you talking about? You're saying Bismack Biyombo, Cody Zeller, Hernan Gomez, Frank Kaminsky aren't a center?
Hernan Gomez is interesting.
Yeah.
That's it.
And he's only $1.6 million.
Yeah, that's
Bargain.
it. But outside of that, I think PJ Washington would be a really good fit on the Hornets. But let us know you want Hornets fans out there. Let us know what you think you need on this team, especially with the whole Kemba situation. But let's move now to the Lakers. Final team we're talking about. Rick, you want to talk about Tyler? We want to talk about Tyler Hero, but you also want to talk about the Lakers in general. So let's start with the Lakers. Magic Johnson leaving out of nowhere. They fire the whole coaching staff. Luke Walton now going to be the Kings head coach. What should be the Lakers' plan going into this draft?
Well, for me, the whole thing up until now is just, we're going to get free agents and go ahead and take a center. And the thing I kept thinking was, if you're taking a center here with the Lakers, are you really capitalizing off of what you could do for LeBron James? Because if you go and get Anthony Davis, you're going to give up some of that young core anyways. And for me, I sat there and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do something different for the Lakers here at 11. Because, for both of you guys, Bol and Jackson Hayes are off the board. Jackson Hayes was still on the board for me, but I'm like, screw it. They're not going to go with the center. I looked at Tyler Hero. I looked at Romeo Langford. I looked at Kevin Porter Jr. Those were mainly the 3 guys, and I think I tagged Alexander Walker on the end of it as well. And I said, who gives me the best shot from beyond the arc? And I looked at the true shooting, the 3-point, just everything overall. And Tyler Hero would be the best position because it's like, you know what? We're going to add a guy who can be shooting, who can score. Is he going to do it right away day one? No. But if he takes a year and then in year 2 with LeBron can be that shooter off the bench for them. I know that we were really high on Mikhailuk in the summer league because of what he showed. I know that this season we kind of didn't talk about him after that.
Didn't quite pan out for him.
But I mean,
Enjoy
Tyler
Detroit.
Hero for me, like what I saw in the tournament, shooting. And that's what LeBron needs. He needs shooters around him. Why not draft a young shooter in Tyler Hero?
You know what he needs more than shooters around him? Someone to trade away.
Shooters.
A pick to trade.
I say Cam Reddish getting traded away. That's exactly what I.
Well, that's what another thing too is Bol Bol. Bol Bol would have some intriguing trade value too.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know exactly what he would be, but
yeah, I made the majority of my pick based around who has the most value left on the board.
So someone's trading and
you can
then
move
taking
him.
Cam Reddish.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that you're taking Cam Reddish with the assumption that he will be traded at a later date for a player. So I don't know. That might be mean, but like that's just.
I mean, it's honest though.
My assumption of the Lakers' plan moving forward is probably not going to be using Cam Reddish for themselves, but to get done what they need to get done.
yeah, I think that with the situation they're in, if they're going to go after Anthony Davis, they're going to need this pick, and hopefully, for their sakes, they'll move up the lottery. I don't know if that's exactly going to be something that's going to actually come to fruition, but I think if you're looking for the Lakers, you just need someone. If you're using the pick and you're not getting Anthony Davis, you need someone who's going to fit around LeBron James,
Yep.
and that's someone who can shoot, and that's
Absolutely.
Hero, that's Bol Bol, and that's hopefully Cam Reddish, and that's all we took. Cam Reddish definitely going to be having the highest trade value of that. Hero probably the best fit for him next to a LeBron James player, and then Bol Bol obviously a player that if he pans out would be something definitely special in LA. But all players that just try to fit around LeBron James and can be shooters from the outside. And that's really just the biggest thought about this. Also, DJ Augustine just hit a three-pointer, 3.4 seconds left.
Nope, we're down to 0.5.
We got it.
And the Magic got the bound.
Wow. Try to pull it up, and ESPN's not even playing it. It's over.
It's
Two
over.
upsets. Magic win and the Nets win. So
Is the
Over.
Magic an upset really? Because I sort of talked about it a little bit.
it's an upset.
Smirk. The lead back and just like, yeah, I was right.
That's going to do it for 11 through 20 if you guys don't have any other final thoughts.
No, I'm good.
I think we nailed it.
All right. But let's move to the final segment, and that is 21 through 30. We're going to change it up again. What we're going to do is we're going to go through how we usually do. We're just going to read off our picks for 21 through 30, and then we're going to try to talk about every single team. What we want you to do, as the listener, as the viewer, to let us know which style you like better. So go back to the 11 through 20 if you didn't already, and watch that as well, so we can get a better feel of what you guys think is the best way to put through this information, because we felt like the last one we were talking too much about the picks, and we really didn't get into a conversation. So hopefully this will lead to more conversation. We will see. If you guys have any other ideas on how to talk about every single pick, all 30 picks, please let us know. But boys, let's jump into it. Rick, give us your 21 through 30.
So because I am a dum-dum, I'm going to ask one more time. Same as 1 through 10. I just go straight through, and then we'll talk about each one?
Yes.
Okay. So starting off at number 21, the Thunder are going to go Nasir Little, the forward from UNC. Then the Celtics at 22 go Ty Jerome, the guard who likes to bounce the ball off the back of his foot, from Virginia. Then the Jazz, Grant Williams, the forward from Tennessee. Then the 76ers go with my boy Iggy Brizdickis, the forward from Michigan. Cavs via the Rockets going Daniel Gafford, the center out of Arkansas. The Trailblazers then go Cam Johnson, forward from UNC. Nets via the Nuggets going KZ Okpala, the forward from Stanford. Warriors go with Admiral Schofield, forward from Tennessee. The Spurs at number, what would that be, 29. Going with Goga, or as I like to call him, Gorga, Batazde, the center from International. And then the Bucks go with Talon Horton Jr., the forward from Iowa State, or THT.
All right, Dave, give us your 21 to 30.
21, I've got Nasir Little going to the Thunder. At 22, I've got Keldon Johnson falling all the way down to the Celtics. At 23, I've got THT going to the Jazz. 24, I've got Cam Johnson going to the 76ers. At 25, I've got Daniel Gafford going to the Cavs. At 26, I've got Matisse Thybulle going to the Trailblazers. 27, I've got the Nets going Bruno Fernando, or as Ricky likes to call him, Fernandez.
Hell yeah.
I've got the Warriors at 28 taking Grant Williams. I've got the Spurs at 29 taking Charles Bassey. And at 30, the Bucks taking Ty Jerome.
All right, my 21 through 30, I have the Thunder taking the best player in the draft, Naz Reid, the forward out of LSU. If you haven't seen him, he is basically Michael Jordan. Then 22, we have the Celtics taking Daniel Gafford out of Arkansas. 23, the Jazz taking Cam Johnson from UNC. 24, the 76ers taking Luguentz Dort from Arizona State University. 25, the Cavs via the Rockets taking Bruno Fernando from Maryland. At 26, we have Trailblazers taking Goga Batazde from International. 27, we have the Nets via the Nuggets taking KZ Okpala. 28, we have the Warriors taking Grant Williams from Tennessee. 29, we have the Spurs via the Raptors taking Lewis King. Shout out your boy, Ricky.
Hell yeah.
And then 30, we have the Bucks taking Matisse Thybulle from Washington. I don't know which one it is. It's not Matthias.
I believe it's Matisse.
Yeah, I don't think it's Matthias because no H.
I'm not sure. I listened to...
It's
God, who was
Matisse.
it?
Mattis. But yeah, it's
Might
not
be Matthias.
Matthias. It's not Matthias, I don't think. But let's jump through it. We'll start with the Thunder at 21. What we were trying to address at least with the Thunder? Was it best player available? Was it potential, or was it some fit that you like with Nasir Little? You both guys have taken Nasir Little.
I just figure they like athletic wings who can't play basketball. So I give him an athletic wing who can't play basketball.
Nice. Good for you.
It's a theme pick for me.
So Nasir Little's going to win the dunk contest next year?
I mean, Hamidou Diallo was dope.
But Terrence Ferguson didn't, though.
Terrence Ferguson didn't, but he learned how to shoot.
It's true.
Which was awesome. He stepped up into a role, and I loved him. I loved Terrence Ferguson before coming out from Australia. So Nasir Little, I don't think his story's done. I think he's got a lot of development to do. I think this is a team who has a knack for maybe developing these type of players.
Yeah, and Ferguson too. He came, and I think he was like the 14th ranked high school prospect or something like that.
Yep.
So very similar to Nasir Little in some ways, where highly ranked high school prospect didn't go in the lottery though. And then they were, had to do a lot of development to come over. Clearly, Nasir Little coming from more a respected program in UNC than Terrence Ferguson going to the Australian Basketball League. But definitely an interesting fit. I had Nasir Little going a little bit earlier. Still don't have a real gauge on what he is. But Ricky, what do you like about the fit?
Yeah, for me, it's one of those where could they use a kind of athletic wing? Yes. But also the Thunder in a position, almost like I said with the Heat, where if they take Nasir Little and he needs to take the full year to develop, I'm going to use, I almost want to say like Markelle Fultz, but not exactly Markelle Fultz, where it's like, hey, we're a good team. If you have to take the year to kind of work on you and like get ready to be in the NBA, fine, we can do that because we are a playoff team with or without you on the court. Like, they're a playoff team now. Adding Nasir Little, if he doesn't play, this team with Paul George and Russ are still a playoff team. So, for me, I wonder if Nasir Little might be at 21, in some people's minds, if he hits, at 21 might be like, wow, that was the sleeper. How'd he get all the way to 21? Where I will be the first to tell you, look at his college tape. That's how he got to 21.
Mm-hmm. I have him going Nasir Little. Looking at the Thunder, the big thing they need is offense, and Nasir Little will Naz Reid. I have the other Naz. I have Naz Reid going there, and one big thing with the Thunder is they don't have a lot of offense, at least coming from their 4 and 5 spots. Jeremy Grant did develop a shot, which is big. Markieff Morris really hasn't made too much of an impact since coming up from Washington. Patrick Peterson's been there forever, but really has not. I mean, he's nothing special. And then you look at Steven Adams, a great defender, and Nerlens Noel. Hasn't come over and lit it up exactly, but has done a decent job.
Great defensively. Yeah. He's not an offensive monster.
And that's the thing is I think you need an offensive monster down there because a lot of the scoring, if not all of it's just relied on 3 players in Russell Westbrook, Dennis Schroeder, and Paul George. And taking that off with a guy who can play a different position than those guys would be huge. And Naz Reid can do that. Naz Reid can score. And maybe he's not the best rebounder for his size, but you have Steven Adams, you have Nerlens Noel, you have Markieff Morris, who he might not be on the team next year, but at least can provide boards if he does stick around. So the biggest thing that I think that he can do if he's playing next to a Steven Adams would be provide scoring, and I think that his athleticism and his body would be huge in a Russ pick and roll.
May I toss out Enes Kanter as hey, look, they did it before.
Yeah, kind of.
Should they do it again?
Yeah, he's more.
Is he going to get burned because of lack of defense? I know, but
yeah.
you remember they did roll out the Mustache Bros together for a bit.
That's true. And it worked out for them. It's just that Kanter was too expensive. And we won't have that problem with Naz Reid. You might have the problem that Steven Adams is too expensive, but I think for what he provides is very worth his contract.
So young, too.
Yeah, so I think that Naz Reid providing that offense would be absolutely huge for the Thunder, and that might be a reason why they might not succeed in the playoffs. Maybe a second round exit would be what we're looking at for them. Maybe Western Conference Finals.
Maybe first round exit as well, unfortunately.
Yeah, if they don't make it, though, I think it's going to be probably due to just their offense relying so much on just Russell Westbrook and just Paul George. And I think a lot of that also has to do with Billy Donovan, so we'll have to see what his fate is after the season. But let's now jump to the Celtics at 22. I have Daniel Gafford, Ricky, you have Ty Jerome, and Dave, you have Keldon Johnson. We talked a little about Keldon Johnson already, the Celtics, kind of comparing him to Avery Bradley. Why did you go with the pick, though, for Keldon Johnson?
Yeah, same deal. Like that,
Okay.
It's that easy. It was just, he's a good player. He can play defense. His shooting's erratic. Celtics, you know what? Why not add another guard to another wing to your team? Because, you don't have enough of those already. He's not a guy who's going to demand a lot of minutes, which is nice. There's not a whole lot of ego there for him. So I think that he can fit in a bench role, limited minutes, and work his way through that rotation.
Yeah, and you obviously went differently because Keldon Johnson was on the board.
Mine was tricky, and the reason why is I already had them go with a center. I already had them go with a wing. And the only other position I think they need to hit with one of their first round picks is a point guard. And after you got Ja's gone, after Colby White's gone, after Darius Garland's gone, this is, to me, the biggest team that is hurting from Trey Jones saying, hey, I'm going to go back to school and go back to Duke. Because this would have been a prime location for them to take Trey Jones. He would fit with that team. He'd be good for that team. But now it's like, okay, do we go with another wing or a four with what I have left? Do they go with a Grant Williams? Do they go with an Iggy? Do they go with a Cam Johnson or an Admiral Schofield or even a KZ Okpala? Or do we reach a little bit for a point guard? And I looked what's left. Shamori Pons I don't think is a first-round pick. Carson Edwards is for sure not a first-round pick.
Really? People are saying he played his way in.
I don't think he's a first-round pick. I think
who would
he's
you rather have,
round.
Shamori or Carson?
I would, if I had to pick between the two, I'd have Carson.
Agree.
And I feel like the only one left that's a possible first-round pick is Ty Jerome, because I feel like for me he's more 25 through 30, but at this point it's like, hey, is it a reach? Yes. But is it a bad reach? No, because at this point in the draft, you just take whoever you think is going to help your team the best. Celtics need a point guard. That's why I go with Ty Jerome. And he could be a guy that he's not going to be the main scorer, so he's not going to take points away from Jalen or Jason, and he could just be a guy that's more of a facilitator if Kyrie leaves.
Yeah, I had him going with Sekou Demboya earlier at 14, and then I had him going with Keldon Johnson at 20. So I kind of filled out that wing and guard spot, and then I felt like they need someone at that center position. I know Aaron Baines has been there. Now Horford does have a player option. But the biggest thing that I think stands out for them is that Al Horford hasn't been the same Al Horford. And Aaron Baines, while he's fine, I think Daniel Gafford will provide a lot more energy out there. Very similar to what Robert Williams can do, but just more at the center position and more of a bigger body. And I think that would be really helpful to the Celtics team. When Al Horford isn't out there, this team really doesn't run. And I don't think Daniel Gafford would be able to provide what Al Horford does at that center position, but he will be able to provide rebounding, which is something that has been a huge, huge, huge deficiency of the Celtics team. So I really like Daniel Gafford there for the Celtics. He probably should be going a little bit higher, but just with some of these team needs, not a lot of these teams need a center, and I think center is just not really...
It's a low-value thing because you can get just another guy to kind of play there, and it's not one of those positions where having an excellent center propels you to that next level often. Yeah,
and the only reason why we have a guy like Jackson Hayes going so high is just because you look at the Hawks and that's the only thing they really need.
Yep.
And and with the Celtics, they don't really need much. It's just really filling out depth.
I could honestly
and places.
see this be like a Euro player.
Oh yeah, this could be Goga.
I'm saying someone who's not coming over.
Or Luka.
Yeah, it could be a handful of guys because this is the problem. They're stuck with these picks until free agency starts.
Or they trade for Anthony Davis.
They can't.
Oh, that's right.
Because of
Kyrie's still under the roster.
That's right.
So they're stuck with these picks. So you have to either attempt to draft for yourself, you have to attempt to draft for the Pelicans trade and go for valuable guys, whether the fit matters to them. Or you kind of ride the middle post and be like, we could use these guys, but we can also float €1, €2 maybe. So I think it's an interesting draft choice.
Do you think the Celtics, now that we know for sure how many picks they'll have, of course the Grizzly pick,
we don't know.
They could get because of, we know where the bottom 3 are going to be.
Correct.
And they could get the Grizzly pick still because
actually,
of the...
they could not get the last one because the Kings pick could go to number 1.
Okay. So for right now, we know 2 for sure
2
are
guarantees,
theirs.
yep.
Let's say they have 3 or 4.
Sure.
Do you take one of these later picks and say, hey, you know what? Maybe we don't need to spend a guy here. Do they trade the pick? Of course,
100%.
you're getting a pick, but it's like, hey, we can go and get a guy where it's like, hey, we're trading back, and then we'll get an international guy that we know is not coming over.
I could see them trading 3 of these 4 picks if they get 4 of them. 3 of these 4 picks just to get future picks because that way the Pelicans can use it.
Yep. It's all value, and that's the problem. Is like as soon as you take the guy, your pick is less valuable. Like having Keldon Johnson, Ty Jerome, or Daniel Gafford is less valuable than having the 22nd overall pick in the draft. Yep. That's what it is. That's how value works in the NBA draft. So
it makes sense too.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
it could be anything. It could be a boat.
Exactly. It could be Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that I think that with the Celtics is it's definitely on the table, but we have to make picks, and that's the thing. So we made picks. Let's move on to the Jazz at 23. I have Cam Johnson, Ricky. You have Grant Williams, and Dave. You have Taylor Horton Tucker. All thinking about that 3 and 4 spot. Or 2 spot if you're looking at Taylor Horton Tucker.
He can play 2 through 4.
We're all thinking wings.
He a big chunker.
Why are we thinking wings, Ricky?
Well, I mean, for me with the Utah Jazz, is I'm just sitting here going, my biggest kind of thing, and of course I go into my Google spreadsheet and it goes into the main part of it. But yeah, for me, the next pick down with the Jazz, I was just looking for best person on the board. And for me, I had Grant Williams last time to them. He is still there. So I'm going to go ahead and have him go again. Is he a little undersized? Is there questions from some people? Yeah. But I personally like Grant Williams. And also, I look at what he's going to be, and some people are like, oh, he's a 3. Some say he's a 4. If he is a 4, Derek Favors is the only one there, and he's on a contract year. So that's another thing.
The thing that I look at with Grant Williams is I think he might be too much like Joe Ingles.
Yeah.
At least play style wise.
That's never a bad thing.
Yeah, but
Joe Ingles actually is a much better shooter than him, though.
Oh, for sure. But I'm just saying, like, kind of undersized guys, pretty decent with the ball in their hands. Not undersized for Joe Ingles, but like, are they a 3? Are they a 4? And I think they're both really good with the ball in their hands. Like they could be facilitator for at the wing position. So that's why I think at least drawing comparison wise, at least size wise, and they don't really have a lockdown position. But I think Grant Williams is definitely an interesting pick. Might be a little bit of a reach, but I think one of the bigger reaches, Dave, and no offense, is Taylor Horton Tucker. Talk me into it.
He's got potential. He's got that P word that everybody loves in the NBA, whether you like to admit it or not. It's Pepsi. It's the same reason that Dante Exum has 2 more years at $9.6 million, who's done nothing but get hurt. And he's looked awesome in the couple of games he's played between getting hurt, but that's all he's done. So I think that Taylor Horton Tucker is a guy who you can mold. He has great athleticism, great body. He needs to slim down if you want him to play a smaller role, or he needs to actually work out and muscle up, because a lot of the big things against him are his conditioning and his body shape, basically. I feel like they body shamed him on national TV a couple times. I felt really bad about that. I think that's like maybe going a little too far, maybe going a little too PC for me. But regardless, I think he's one of those guys who I could see this team being able to use him in a unique position, kind of as Jay Crowder is going to exit this team. You're going to want to have someone who can go on from the bench unit, body guys up, down low, work in the post, but he's also got a decent shot, decent defensive player. Like, he just has a lot of potential because of his wingspan, his height. Like, his whole body makeup is potential, basically, right now. The thing that kills me is this is a team that I could see trading up. I want them to trade up. I want them to go get another guard, because what I'm seeing is Rubio, there's a chance he doesn't come back, which leaves you with either running Exum at the 1, who you can't count on, Raul Neto, can't really count on, or Donovan Mitchell, Grayson Allen backcourt, which I think would be intriguing, but that still, you need more guard play at that point. I said intriguing, not good. So
no, that was me. I kicked my water bottle.
Oh, okay. I got real scared there.
No.
Got real scared. So I think that they could go for another guard there, but there's no guard who I love enough. Like, I don't think that Ty Jerome is a great grab at this point yet.
Yeah.
So if they could trade up into those, teens and get into Cale Alexander Walker, someone who could come in and really complement Donovan Mitchell and work with Grayson Allen in that second unit. I think that would be probably their best case scenario.
I agree with you there. I don't think there's a great point guard available.
So let's say my mock draft plays out. Darius Garland is falling towards 10. Is there any way in your mind the Jazz?
There's always a way, but they don't have the actual capital.
And that's what I'm asking. Is it possible for them to maybe, let's say 10 or 11 is where Garland falls? Could they move up, or are they too far back to make a move like that for a Garland if he slips?
It's a lot to give up for him. I don't know that they do that move. I think they're right now we're seeing them work really well with Joe Ingles facilitating. So I don't know that I would go for a Garland on this team necessarily fit wise. I think you need someone maybe a little more unselfish. Your primary scorer is and will always be Donovan Mitchell. And then you have such a depth of guys who can stand up and take excellent shots, high percentage shots for you. So Darius Garland, I think it would be an awesome offensive pairing, but I don't know necessarily it's the best fit for this team.
If Walker falls to 17, they're calling the Nets.
Yeah,
I'll put it that
100%
way. 17 to 23 is a very doable move.
Yep.
23 to 10, not that doable.
Do you think it would also hurt them to maybe wait? Could they wait on that and get let's say, Carson Edwards if he's there at 53? They have the 53 pick in the second round.
I don't think Carson will be there at 53.
Okay.
And again, second round picks are much easier to move for, so that could be interesting. But I just think that this team needs to make a move to put themselves in a better position for the draft. They're not quite in the right zone. It's just the way it laid out right now. Who knows? After the lottery, things could change. People could fall, as we just did the NFL one. People fall.
And I'm not huge on Ty Jerome, so maybe even Ty Jerome is available there at like 53, which would be a good pick. Could shoot from the outside, can pass the ball.
We'll see. I've got him going at 30. And
your boy Cassius could be there too.
Cassius could be. I love Cassius.
That's why I said your boy.
Yeah.
I'm not high on Ty, so
that's fair.
That's one thing.
We all got opinions.
If he fall to 53, I'd like that pick.
Yeah,
but
that'd be great.
I don't like him at 23. I don't like him at 22. I don't like him at 30. I think that's a little bit too high.
All right.
I'm going with Cam Johnson. Kind of similar though. At least kind of similar. At least thinking in the wing. He's a very good shooter. Can knock down shots, and if Joe Ingles is going to be your facilitator, if Donovan Mitchell is going to be a combo guard, you need somebody who can stretch the floor still. And Cam Johnson is a guy that can do that. Ever since I kind of started paying a little bit more attention to Cam Johnson and looking at him, I kind of always looked at him at that 23-24 spot for the 76ers of the Jazz. I really like him as a shooting aspect to one of those teams, and I think that's where he's going to end up. Kind of a little bit higher than you guys. You have him going next to the 76ers, Dave.
Yeah.
And Ricky, you have him going 26 to the Blazers, but I don't think it's too much of a jump. I think he's not a great defender, but he's at least put himself in good positioning. He doesn't have bad positioning. He's just not that great of an athlete.
Yep.
So that's really what hurts him there. Let's move now to the next pick, and that's the 76ers at 24. I have Luguentz Dort. Ricky, you have Iggy Berzdikis, and Dave, you have Cam Johnson going. Talk about you like Cam Johnson and the 76ers.
Yeah, I think he's just the perfect fit for their system. You need to have someone at the 4 who can stretch out the floor for Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. So having him come in, you have Tobias Harris potentially if you sign him for next year. We'll see about that. If you don't, I don't have a huge problem with Cam Johnson because he's an older player. He could probably step in pretty okay into that starting lineup without too many problems. But in ideal situation, he is a bench 4 for this team, and he's out there rocking it in limited minutes. And I think he absolutely is just a dead-eye shooter from 3. So it's not like he's eking out with like low count on his 3-point shots to kind of cheese that percentage up. No, he's taking the shots. You've got plenty of game tape on him. You know exactly what you're getting with his product. So as the 76ers, for once, I'm taking the guaranteed product.
And for me, of course, I go with Iggy because I liked what he did at Michigan and was able to shoot from the outside. He can go ahead and work in transition with that team, especially off of steals and running for fast breaks. Here's the question I have about the 76ers, because I feel like I picked a wing just because of what you said, Dave. Here's the thing I want to ask you guys. Let's say P.J. Washington, for whatever reason, is available at 20 at the Celtics. If you're the 76ers, do you call up the phone? Knowing the Celtics, we mentioned, want to maybe move some picks. Do you maybe do that to trade for a P.J. Washington? Because Mike Scott's your only power forward on the roster.
No, 100%. But
Once burned, twice, I don't know. Like, that's making deals with the Celtics.
But it's only 20 and 24.
Calling the devil, Dave? You making deals with
It's
the
only
devil?
2024. You're not going to get a Fultz Tatum screw job.
But it's only 1 to 3. You're not going to get a full stand. Like, no,
That's
I'm sorry.
different.
No. They're going to draft somebody, and it's just going to be like, man, the Celtics.
You know what it is?
Just
You know what it is? Celtics.
take a
Be
Naz
there.
Reid.
No. Celtics will be there, and they'll be like, no, we don't want P.J. Washington. 76 will take him, and the Celtics will take Naz Reid.
Yeah.
And Naz Reid will turn into Michael Jordan.
There you go.
So, there we go.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I
No.
think the 76ers, like, if P.J. Washington started falling, I think they'd be definitely a team to move up. That's really can be said about any team.
PJ's just got a great skill set, and he developed his game in such a short 1 year turnaround time. So I think seeing that improvement out of him and that encouragement, his attitude to go out there, hurt, and play, he has everything you want out of a 4.
100%.
Because I almost have the same thought about the 76ers that you had about the Jazz, where it's like, I want them to get a 4. Because like I said, Mike Scott's the only one on the roster.
Yeah.
He's a free agent at the end of the
only
year.
concern I would have is just that would him and Toby kind of be two similar players?
If you resign Toby.
Well, and-
That's the asterisk to all this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, Toby's up at the end of
I'm
the year,
hoping
but
you
like
do.
I look at the other power forwards, and out of the ones on the board that I have left, Killian Tilly, Dietrich Lawson, and then you go into like second round territory, Ethan Happ, Jalen
Killian Tilly is definitely
McDaniel.
second round territory.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like even like a Dietrich Lawson could be second round territory to where I'm like, I don't feel like reaching for one of those. That's why I go with a wing and someone at the 3 at that position, because there's just a ton of them right here lower in the draft. And I just wonder if one of the 4s at the top fall a little bit. Could the 76ers pick up the phone, call somebody to maybe work a deal for that instead of just saying, hey, we're just going to sit here and take BPA?
I mean, you could go for like Eric Paschal. Like he's one of those guys who maybe could go to that range.
I think the 76ers are looking BPA though. 'Cause
Or
they
Admiral.
need bench help in any single way at every single
True.
position. So I don't really think the biggest thing is like they have a big need. They just have a need for bench
I mean,
players.
the GOAT could be leaving. TJ McConnell could be going.
You're gonna kill Jake by saying that.
GOAT.
Yeah, I just worry that the 76ers. I mean, the 76ers just like I have him going Lugan Stewart just because again he's probably the best player available. And coming off the bench, potential wise, he's the youngest at least. Him or Lewis King. He's a freshman. Putting up 16 points in the Pac-12 is nothing to scoff at. And I think his body is definitely something that is
bowling
moldable.
ball.
Yeah, I think that he's a guy that I'm really intrigued by. So I think that if you're able to get him at 24, it's definitely worth the risk. I would have Ayo Dosunmu here from Illinois, but I think he's going to go back. So
Yeah.
that's the reason why. But if he wasn't going back, I'd go Ayo just because scoring off the bench
Just a
is
quick
huge.
correction. Did you say Pac-10?
Said
Pac-12.
Okay. I heard Pac-10. I was like, whoa, are we in like 2005 or something?
Nah, I said Pac-12. Let's move away from the 76ers, though. Let's move to the Cavs via the Rockets. I have Bruno Fernando going there. Rick, you have Daniel Gafford. And Dave, you have Daniel Gafford. So we're going with the big boys. I think the biggest thing is just, Tristan Thompson.
contract year.
Yeah, contract year, and he's just also,
Yeah.
So try to get an upgrade.
Yep.
So-
I mean, it's not super scary or hard of a choice. The team has so many holes to fill, and if you're assuming Kevin Love will be there next year, I'm not worried about the 4. You got him and Larry Nance working together, holding down that shit. So
And really, with all of us going RJ, I'm not really worried about the 3 because I just drafted my 3.
exactly. So you're basically stuck with who you got at the 5 rolling forward, and I absolutely think that Daniel Gafford fits this team, and they could be young kids running with him. Works well.
Only position I would worry about then would be probably the 2 guard for the Cavs. But that's nothing too crazy because they're going to be bad anyways. Let's move now to the do we really want to talk about Gafford too much? We've talked about him a lot.
The thing with Gafford that I would like with him is with this Cavalier team, A, upgrade from Tristan, and B, he's going to be grabbing a lot of boards for the Cavaliers
Tristan already does that.
I know, but Gafford's going to do better. Gafford's going to be a
How?
better version of Tristan Thompson.
Like at his peak or right
I'd say
away?
Tristan Thompson was one of the best rebounders.
Tristan Thompson's pretty
I'm
decent.
just gonna say, as of right now, it's gonna be like they'll start out with Tristan on top, and then it'll very easily be, yes, we're not gonna resign you, and Gafford's the future, and we're just gonna switch you guys.
You think it's a Rolo situation?
basically like Wendell would have been the starter if he didn't get injured.
By the way, the disrespect to Brandon Knight saying they don't have a shooting guard. I know they played 2 point guards together because, J.R. Smith didn't want to play basketball this year.
I guess, no, that's disrespectful to J.R. Smith because he's probably going to come back next year, right? Right? J.R., please?
J.R., please?
What soup is he going to eat this year?
I like how we both went to soup.
Jesus Christ. Let's move on to the next one. Trailblazers, nothing soupy about this pick. I have Goga Batazde going. Ricky, you have Cam Johnson going. And then Dave, you have Matisse Thybulle going from Washington.
You looked it up.
I'll start off from the Trailblazers standpoint. I have Goga Batazde going there. Obviously, Yusuf Nurkic was hurt and got hurt, broke his leg, so hopefully he can recover soon. But one thing that they will be lacking will be a center. You look at Enes Kanter, his contract coming up. I don't know if they will want to re-sign him, but if they're trying to go with that mold, I think Goga Batazde can be an offensive stud like Enes Kanter is. So if and when Nurkic is healthy, he's your backup center.
And there's a chance he could play defense too.
Yeah, so I think Goga would just be pretty much the heir apparent to Enes Kanter, and I think it would be a nice fit. I don't really have a huge fit for them outside of forward, but I think Goga's the best available, and he also happens to be a fit. So that's my thinking with the Trailblazers. Ricky, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like the only thing I would think of is 3 or 4, basically. And like, really, it's depending for me off of what I saw this year from Aminu and then Harkless. Are both of them great? Not really. But I mean, the thing where I looked at here was Cam Johnson, one of my sleeper picks when we talked about sleepers with John on the podcast. And this is one where I'm like, I can't pass him up. I got to go with him. I can plug him in at the 3, and he can be someone that starts out as a bench player, maybe then takes over for Mo Harkless next year or the year after, and can be a really special piece because of, like you guys have said, and how he shoots the ball. Could be a real special piece for the Trailblazers that already has CJ, already has Nurkic, and already has Dame.
Sir?
Dave?
Sir? Thybulle, dude's a roamer on defense. I absolutely love his effort. He's the best defender in the entire, I can't remember the conference, West.
Pac-12.
Pac-12, there we go. We talked about it so much, and I literally couldn't pull it. He was the best defender in the Pac-12. He can guard 2s, 3s. I absolutely love this team going forward because we got to see that tiny little peak out of Anthony out there.
37 points. It's not a tiny peak.
Yeah.
Ain't no tiny peak.
When he hits puberty, like, be afraid. Be afraid. That kid is a monster. His shot's so lightning quick. So they've got young guards on the up and coming with he and Gary Trent Jr. I think Matisse is an absolute fantastic addition to being a 2-3 on that team.
Yeah.
Incredible defense. And his shot's not awful. He had a couple really rough offensive games. But
throughout his whole career, he's not good offensively.
He's not good. But if you want someone who is Andre Roberson-esque, he's the guy. He's that guy. And I think that's something that the team would absolutely love to have, is someone who can step in, make an instant defensive impact. Because, like Evan Turner's been, so great for them. So.
Oh, yeah, totally. Great contract, too. Let's move to the next one. Nets via the Nuggets. Dave, you have Bruno Fernando going. Ricky, you have KZ Okpala going. And then I have KZ Okpala going as well. So, Ricky, talk about our KZ Okpala pick while I change the battery camera.
I mean, I just look at it, and for me, it was, I already had them go with a 4. I believe I had PJ Washington, as I'm not looking at the spreadsheet right now. I think I had PJ Washington go to the Nets, or yes, I did. So they got their 4. I look at the 3, and DeMar Carroll is a free agent. Jared Dudley's a free agent. Hollis Jefferson is an RFA. So many free agents at the 3.
Hollis Jefferson's a 4, though.
He's listed as a small 4.
He's a 3.
That's all I'm going on.
No, sorry, he's a 4. He is a 4.
All of those guys are free agents. I'm going to go with the best 3, the best wing off the board, and for me, that's KZ Okpala. So I go with it, and boom, I move on.
Yeah, I agree. I think KZ just has so much potential, and just at 27, it's just a bargain for them. There's no reason not to take him.
And that's the thing with, like, how this is vastly different than, like, our top 10, is when you get down here, it's either we need you to do something really well, like shoot a 3, or defend, or be our scorer off the bench, or it's just, hey, we got who we got, and we're just going to take BPA, and we're going to take the best player there and move right along.
Yeah, or the most intriguing, because this is like, he's not only best player, but I think he's also just got the most potential. So there's no reason not to go with it. So
ball handler with his size, his speed, his ability. If he can connect that shot together a little bit more often, he's a little scary.
If he fills out more, you think he's a 4?
I think he absolutely is a 4, and I don't want to say who I think he could play like. So,
Who?
Nope.
Who?
Whole bunch of nope.
Say it.
He's
Is it
long.
Draymond?
No.
Okay,
Not even close.
I was just thinking a 4 that Dave might not want to mention.
No,
Draymond
he's
Green.
long. He can ball handle. He can go to the hoop with it. His pull-up game is still a work in progress.
Say it.
No.
Say it.
No.
Now
He's going
I'm
to be
really,
MVP this
now
year.
I'm really intriguing.
You think it's Giannis?
I think that he can be a
Hold on,
shitty
what?
version of Giannis if everything works out well.
I've thrown that comparison out.
To
but-
Rui, I
yeah.
know. And that's the thing. You watch Rui play, and you're like, this guy's a longer, taller, better version of Rui, in my mind. So I think that at
You
his
always liked
absolute best,
KZ.
he can put up a garbage stat line version of Giannis.
So
he's
if
a
Bruno
shitty
Fernando
Giannis.
develops the dribbling handles, would he be a garbage version of?
Joel Embiid. Sure.
No, I was gonna say Giannis.
Look, I just said as a play style. I don't think that's what he will be.
Yeah.
I think that he is a
Because
slasher.
people freak out when
Okay.
you make
They
those.
do. He's a slasher. That's what you get. You get a
I
slasher who
think it'd
can
be-
facilitate the ball to the outside.
I think it would just be Evan Turner.
He could be Evan Turner.
I think it'd be Evan Turner, just maybe,
he's
maybe a
longer and
better
taller.
shotter.
Isn't he longer and taller
He's
than Evan
only
Turner?
an inch
Better
taller
shatter,
than
maybe.
Rui.
Yeah.
What?
Only an inch taller.
Wait till he gets measured again.
Okay, he's only an inch taller right now and about 10 pounds lighter
He's a better
than
shotter.
Rui.
And
That's it.
wingspan.
A better shotter.
That's what I said that 3 times. I was just waiting for somebody to laugh.
I just went right
I'm a
past it.
fucking moron.
Now, what-
Shatter.
Look, I will defend. I put him at 20 or at 19 for a reason. Like I think he's got potential as a slasher who can facilitate, who has a decent pull up shot. Like he's got a lot of potential there. There's
Yeah.
absolutely a ton to love, and the Nets are one of the best at building young talent. So 100% agree
That's
with
why
you
it's
guys. I
very
think
more
you're
Evan
sleeping on him.
Turner to
How
me
many-
than
Yeah.
Giannis, but
No,
how
that's
many
fine.
how many did Karras have today in a playoff game? Like what, 23? I think is what
something
he
like that,
finished
yeah.
with. Like that goes to your developing. Like
Oh.
that was one where,
They unlocked D'Lo too.
if I'm not
they brought
mistaken,
Spencer Dinwiddie from the G League.
if I'm not mistaken, Karras
Thanks, Bulls.
was Karras the draft where it was like shit, we don't have a first round pick, and then they traded for like the 20th pick the day of with the Hornets.
Might have been,
Was that
I can
draft
Look it up.
where
They've done
then-
that. They've traded up into the first round back-to-back years because they didn't have a pick, right?
Yeah,
Or not back-to-back years.
I
but
think
twice.
it's. I'm gonna look it up, but I think that was the Levert one. Was one of those where it's like shit.
We
We,
love
don't
that
have a
kid
first round
too.
pick.
We love that kid.
you loved him.
I did.
You
a lot.
love Karras. I was fine
That's because
with
he's
him.
like little Jimmy Butler.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's worst defender.
Yeah.
He's
He's still good.
It was
Actually
with the
scored them.
Pacers.
Yeah. It's easy to be worse than like an all-team NBA.
They switched to
defender.
18 to 22, didn't they?
It was so the Pacers got Thaddeus Young.
Yeah, that was the Thad
And
Young
then,
straight up.
and then Brooklyn got Karis LeVert in a future second.
How
Good
good of a
trade.
deal is that? It's a
good trade.
win-win.
Yeah, it's a great trade for both teams.
It's a win-win trade.
Good
Doesn't
job,
happen
Pacers
often.
in Brooklyn.
Yep. I got him going Bruno, though, because they need a backup center at this point. You go get just another guy, but I think Bruno Fernando actually has a lot of potential to him because he was a 5-star recruit way back. He's a good ball player. He rebounds okay. He scores okay. He's not going to do anything special, though. Like, he is the, like, I'm never going to wow you player of this draft in my mind. But he tries hard, so I'll take him.
Yep. And let's now move to the Golden State Volunteers. I have Grant Williams going. Ricky, you have Admiral Schofield going. And then Dave, you have Grant Williams going as well. So let's talk about these Volunteer boys. Grant Williams going to the Warriors. I look at it and just like, you need somebody to be bench wing depth. And obviously...
Give me bench Draymond.
What's that?
Bench Draymond.
No. I'm just saying...
Like,
bench,
he is the bench version of Draymond, is what I'm
Oh,
saying.
but more like... Or like, Andre Iguodala. Like, they just need bench depth
yeah.
at
Yeah.
the wing position, and they don't have that.
Sure.
And I think Grant Williams can provide that. I think he's a very smart player, well-rounded player. Might not have a size, but that doesn't really matter to the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, no, they play small all the time. He can pass out the low post. He can work that mid-range paint area. Like, there's nothing amazing about him, but as a leader, he's exactly what you want. He's a high IQ, high team-oriented player. So I think that you get somebody worth a lot more value than a lot of the intangibles. That was the word I was struggling there. Great intangible player. And he has a decent enough game. Just the question of at 6'8", can he, do the whole back to the basket in the mid-range game and get away with it? Or is he going to get smothered by bigger guys?
Here's an interesting one, and I'm going to ask you guys about this because let me see. I'm going to look up really quick how many picks in the second round they have because this guy might be there. So they have the 58th pick as well, so end of the second round.
Yep.
Could you see them, and would it be a reach for them to go with a Dylan Windler
No. I
type
think
of
that's
player?
perfectly
Because
fine.
I'll be honest. I put Admiral Schofield there because of his 3-point percentage and how he can shoot from the outside. I almost want to change it right now to Dylan Windler because I'm like, holy crap, would that be a reach? I almost want to change it, but I won't.
Live your truth, Ricky Widmer.
But I won't.
Live your truth. No, live your truth.
I just look at that and I just go.
So why is Dylan Windler a great fit for the Warriors?
Because he
could shoot.
scores a lot and shoots a 3.
Yep.
And
All you need to say.
And they just need bench depth.
Do you need to
That's
think
all
much
they
harder?
need.
Though, like
That's all they
have
need
the
is
two
bench
greatest
scoring.
shooters possibly of our generation.
Why not have more?
One of the greatest shooters of all time. Because why not need more? Because why not just get players that can do other things for your team? You already have
shooting
two of the
works.
you have already have two
Shooting works.
You already have two of the better shooters in the league, and Grant Williams can shoot okay.
Not from 3.
I mean, he's
Next
he's
draft,
fine.
I'm gonna have Dylan Windler.
But I think you need a guy who can provide something else, and that's what Andre Iguodala did, and that's what made that team so dangerous was because he could provide something else off the bench. If you just want a guy who could shoot threes, like, what does that actually add to the team that can already shoot threes?
Yeah, there's a reason why Quinn Cook isn't super highly desired. He's basically just out there to chuck threes. He doesn't play defense, and he's an absolute turnstile there. But in a pinch, he can fill in and be like garbage Steph out there, just without half the ability to facilitate or shooting. But he's a good bench scorer. But that's what you're getting. You're getting like garbage versions of the starters.
I feel like they just need something else, and that's the thing that I don't feel like
Grant Williams brings
the
a toughness that only Draymond's got.
Yeah. Let's move now to the Spurs. I don't know about that, but let's move to the Spurs.
Neither do I.
Dave, you have him going with Charles Bassey. Ricky, you have him going Goga Batazde. And then I have him going with Lewis King. Really, do you want to talk about Goga or do you want to talk about Lewis? Because you haven't talked about Lewis yet.
So the thing with
because I have him going Lewis, but you've been on him, so I'll let you talk about
Here's the only thing I'll say about mine first is this was just an easy pick of they went with Lewis earlier, and now they're just picking the best center off the board. Lewis King to me, I think, is going to be one of those players where many are not going to look at him because once Bol went down, people were like, oh, the Oregon Ducks, I don't need to watch them anymore. And plus he was injured earlier this year, but when he came back, did it take a game or two for him to come back? Yeah. But like once he got rolling, he's a guy that in college was a consistent down the sideline. Like he can be a 14 to 18 kind of game for them, depending on what day you get from him. I think, is he going to be the best wing available? No, on many boards. But for me, I like what he brings. He can shoot. He can drive. He can be a scorer off the bench for you if you need it. And the Spurs are a team that desperately need a wing and a big. And if Lewis King is there, I would be happy with him with the Spurs because he's also going to fit the kind of coaching style that Pop brings to the table.
Yeah, and you already had him going to the Spurs too. So we at least had the same mindset. And Dave, you had him going with KZ Okpala. And I think they're kind of similar guys. Lewis King, KZ Okpala, again, like bigger wings that can handle the ball a little bit, can dish the ball. So I think that's why the fit does make sense for Lewis. And then obviously Goga, you're thinking bigs. And Dave, you were thinking bigs too.
Yeah,
with
they
Charles
need
Bassey.
center depth, and it's killing them. Charles, solid player. I know you hate the man because he does not do anything to wow you.
I don't think
got
he's
slow feet.
aggressive enough.
Yeah.
That's the thing is I don't think he's aggressive enough, and I don't think he's quick enough. We were watching some games of him earlier, and a big thing that he was doing was just a lot of entry passes from his guards, and then just dunking the ball. And all right, but
What more do you want out of a center?
But I didn't see enough where it was like
Dunks.
This guy's worth a first round pick. And defensively,
don't disagree.
defensively, people are saying that he can bring a lot to the team. He was averaging 2.5 blocks at Western Kentucky, but it's at Western Kentucky, and like, what athletes are you going up against? So that's a guy that I think when the combine comes, maybe he jumps.
Okay.
But he's a guy that right now I don't feel comfortable taking.
For me, the Spurs are one of the slower paced teams. I think that they absolutely could use him and a player like him. Mm-hmm. They go deep on their rotations most of the time anyway. I think I wish there was a better center. I wish Bruno didn't go to the Nets and they could have got Bruno. I would have been happier.
Yeah.
But I agree. You need a wing, you need a center. Like that's your bread and butter. If you want to go double wing here, I wouldn't feel bad. Mm-hmm. Then you can go for someone like Admiral. You could go for someone like Lewis King at this point on my draft board. So either way, I don't know that there's necessarily a wrong answer, but I think Charles was my next best center up. So I felt like at that point, make the roll on it.
What do you feel about Jakob Poeltl in a Spurs uniform? How do you feel about his tenure so far?
He's gotten better. When he started, he was not showing me much.
He started to get better. I think that he can be a double-double guy there without a problem. It just depends a lot on their offense next year because we're going to see DeJounte Murray back. We're going to see Lonnie Walker contributing. You still got Derek White. You still have a couple other pieces. So scoring-wise, you're not going to have to count on him for a lot because you still have LaMarcus Aldridge running the low post.
Yeah.
But ideally, he's probably just going to give you, 8 points, 10 boards. Not going to be a terrible player. I just don't know that he has a ton more. And I don't know that we'll see it that much more unless LaMarcus leaves, and they have to count on him for more of that low post presence.
All right, let's move to the final one. We got the Bucks. I have him going Mattis Thybulle. Rick, you have him going Talon Horton Tucker.
Talon.
And then Talon. And then Dave, you have him going Ty Jerome. So 3 guys we've already talked about. But why do you guys think they were good fits for the Bucks? I'll start off. I've been mocking Thybulle towards him just because I think they need defensive help. And he's not a great shooter, but coming off the bench, and if Brogdon does leave, they do need a great defender. And I think Thybulle clearly provides that. And if he's able to create steals, he's able to create blocks, you're just able to toss it up to, Giannis, and Giannis running the fast break is unstoppable. So I think that's pretty much what it is. I think he can create a lot of turnovers, and that's just going to help them, score more points already. And this is a team that had one of the best differentials already in the league, and a lot of that's due to their offensive ability to move the ball around the arc and open up shots for their shooters, and then obviously open up lanes for Giannis to drive through. And then I think pretty much adding Thybulle will just create more opportunities for them to score. So I think it's a pretty natural fit. A long kid that already fits great with the Bucks. So defensively, he's going to be able to step up and provide some turnovers for them when Giannis is on the floor. So I think Thybulle's a good fit for them. THT though, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's one of those. First off, Chicago kid, got to throw him some love. Simeon Career Academy kid. But for me, it's one of those things where, first off, he's got the wingspan, so he's a Milwaukee Buck for sure. But he can defend, he can score. Like, is he a main scorer? No, but he can score, he can defend. His steals are right up there. And number one, Chris Midd could be leaving. So, I mean, he's not like, oh, we're going to plug him in as a starting 3 on this team. But if Chris Midd goes, if Nico doesn't come back, then maybe it's like, hey, we need a guy like Talon Horton Tucker. Where is he an amazing 3-point shooter? No, but he can hit 30% from 3. If he can give you at least 10 a night his first year, it might be a good thing for this team. The only thing I want to see more is him get to the line, because I feel like he didn't get to the line enough. And when he did get to the line, 62% is god-awful in my mind. If you get to the line, you got to hit him, and I would like to see him get to the line more in the NBA.
It's fair. It's fair. I'm going with Ty Jerome, though. I'm going, give me a veteran player, give me a high-percentage shooter, someone who was a leader in college, someone who can step in. Basically, it worked pretty well at Brogdon, right? Right, guys? Right? We're all pretty happy with the 50, 40, 90 guy.
Yep.
So let's go ahead and get me another one of them. Continue to build up that backcourt some more, just in case. I think they pay him. I don't think that's going to be an issue with Brogdon. I think he's back for sure. But you want to continue adding that depth. You got Baby Brown, you got Malcolm Brogdon out there as present. You want more guys in that same vein. I think Ty Jerome is exactly what that bench unit would be thrilled to have.
Yeah, he'd be an interesting player. He's also long, too. I mean, 6'5" guard. I mean, that's
good defender.
Definitely something that's going to be interesting, yeah. And I mean, very similar to Brogdon, too. Yep. Brogdon's about 6'5", too. So definitely an interesting pick, too. I don't like him in the first round, but if he's going to go to a place...
I think he's borderline first round. Like, him and Carson Edwards flirt with that first round line, and I think that he is one of those guys where you're like, I think he fits what we want, and you're at the end of the first.
I like that.
It's the contract.
I like that for the Bucks. That's the thing, is I like that for the Bucks. That's going to do it. This was 21 through 30. We did it a different way from 11 through 20. So let us know which way you like better. I'm kind of partial to the 21 through 30. I think it flew by. It was a little bit longer than the 11 through 22. So I think it went a little bit quicker.
Personally, I love this way better than that second segment.
But let us know down below, because you guys are the ones digesting this, so we definitely want to hear from you. You can reach out to us at MostValuablePod on Twitter. You can also talk to us on our Discord, and you can join that by patreon.com/MostValuablePodcast and becoming a member at the bronze tier. Also, we want you to at least persuade you, or at least implore you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're always just trying to grow and become bigger. So your help by subscribing would be absolutely huge. What are you guys sharing?
I'm reading
What's going on?
the magic thread.
Upvote if you had as many points as Kyle Lowry, because I did.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. Clippers and Warriors start right now, and if anything from earlier means anything, the Clippers are winning by 40. That's going to do it, though, for the fast break. 2 podcasts in a week, and we just did an NBA mock draft before that. And Ricky
NFL.
did 2 NFL mock draft, live mock draft for 2 hours before that. And then Ricky did 2 other podcasts before that, too.
2 AGCs coming up end of the month.
And you could get those early by being a patron, right?
Bronze,
There you go.
$1. You get it a week early.
$1. So if you're a comic book fan, definitely check that out. But that's going to do it for the Fast Break podcast. We'll be back next week with a ton of Patriots coming, so we're super excited for that. And we might not have a mailbag. I just realized that.
We'll see.
We can still do a mailbag.
We'll see how it goes.
Dude, we're going to have a 14-hour podcast.
We could do the mailbag separate and just have it be on its own.
Ricky loves the numbers.
You're going to kill me. All right. Let's move away from this and let's go home.
You thought we were going into Wet Boys. We already did Wet Boys.
For Ricky Widmer, for Dave Oster, I'm Sean Anderson. We'll see you next time.